give a damn if it's coming from one particular side or the other, directed at one particular party or another, or one particular person or another. It is not okay, and it has to stop. We have to be better than this.
Governor Josh Shapiro. Yep. Here we are. Yep. So the suspect, this sounds so familiar, Chris. It'll come to me. Admitted to hating the governor and that he was going to attack him with a hammer.
Yes. Yes.
Have all the MAGA, they revived their Paul Pelosi hilarious memes yet about this? I mean, it just, in Trump's America, Chris, it doesn't, I was actually at brunch with a friend when this news broke. Mm-hmm. And you're like, we're not supposed to jump to blah, blah, blah. I'm like, really? The very prominent Democratic Jewish governor of a state on the first night of Passover has, arson while he and his family are in there after having celebrated Passover. And, tell me this doesn't smell exactly like MAGA terrorism, right? The hammer is right out of the, Paul Pelosi attack playbook. Just whatever, that he hated Shapiro. And here we are, right? And the White House, by the way, Trump said nothing. He has said nothing. Right. Unless it's a trans person or an undocumented immigrant, you can tell they're like, oh no, this is obviously more MAGA-inspired violence. But anyway, here we are. Oh, also, the economy is still a show. And where are we is it, oh, never mind, about iPhones now?
You know what? Quite honestly, I have no idea. I have literally no idea.
This makes no sense. It makes a policy that already makes no sense make even less sense. That he keeps doing. He keeps like Scaramucci said he's a panickin. Donald Trump is a panickin. That was what he was trying to get trending. He just panics. Yeah. He gets pushback. And what is the point of tariffs if you keep giving exemptions? Right? I mean, the whole policy doesn't make sense in the first place. And they are not going to make iPhones here. No. Oh, my God. No. Anyway, all right. So
because then they would cost $3,000 a piece instead of.
Yes. Yeah. I was going to do this as a guess the quote, which is, because since you got this soundbite, that might be
you asked me
too easy. So
this is the worst self-inflicted policy wound I've ever seen in my career inflicted on our economy. The Trump tariff plans are doing immense damage to our economy. You can see that in the stock market.
Who said that?
Janet Yellen.
Oh,
I'm looking at it right here.
Damn. All right, that.
What?
Yes, former Treasury Secretary who might know a thing or two. About a thing or two. Good morning, Bella. How's everything over there?
Good.
Listen, one thing that always remains true no matter what is happening in these ridiculous news cycles, everyone loves Bella.
Well, I mean, that's a given.
Bella is our common ground.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? She could have crowd surfed at Coachella. And people would have been like,
I could have.
Brian says, brilliant week last week. Bella is just amazing and keeps getting better. Best decision you've ever made. Well,
aww.
I will say in a lifetime of disastrous decisions, that's, it's kind of a low bar. But thank you, Brian. It is one of my best ever. And then this one, sorry, Chris, is for you. Bella's a lot of people hate me too. Bella's the only common ground that everyone loves.
Well, just give it time.
Yeah, it's just how we are. That's how it goes. Susie, subject line, Chris. Chris, I have to respectfully inform you that having a condition is no excuse for never having watched Pitch Perfect. That is all. Susie.
That is true.
That is true. Thank you. Thank you, Bella. Yes, you and I unite on this. It's egregious.
Stephanie makes me work 15 hours a day, so I don't have time to watch Pitch Perfect.
Oh, no. It's another aggrieved white man in America. Oh, no.
What? What does that have to do with my
Oh, no. It's an overworked, aggrieved white man in America. All right, just watch Pitch Perfect. You'll love it. It's fantastic.
It's very good.
Will you give me some time off so I can?
No, don't be ridiculous. Okay. Bella and I have managed to wedge it in.
It's so good.
It's super good. All right. Speaking of entertainment, I'm glad to see people are just as pissed as I am at Bill Maher. Oh, my God, don't even get me started, Chris. What a useful idiot. First of all...
Why do you still watch him?
I don't watch him. Well, then, it's just he went to the White House, so obviously everybody knows he went and said all these glowing things about Trump. Are you kidding me? Are we not... literally soaking in fascism in America. And this guy's yucking it up with Trump and talking about how charming he is and blah, blah. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I mean, I know somebody tweeted he's only been an opportunistic jerk, but this is just a different time in our history. And it's this both sides bolt that got us here. And it's just this whole, but Trump's charming in person. Really? I guess Hitler was really nice to his pets. Like, this is just not the time to be cozying up to fascism.
Well,
and he's a useful idiot. Of course, Trump's going to use him to go, he's used to be a liberal icon,
And it goes back to my long-standing assertion that Trump is a cheap timeshare
He's a
salesman.
Thank you.
Because he was using flattering sales techniques
Thank
to
you.
make the sale to bring Maher over to his side.
Of course.
That's exactly what went on there.
No, that's exactly my point, Chris. Are you kidding me? He's the biggest con man in the world, and you let yourself
Salesman,
go to
con
the
man.
White House and get conned, right? And be a useful idiot for Trump's. Thank you. Steven said what you're seeing with Bill Maher and his assessment of Trump after their dinner is the very reason Trump has been atop the political mountain for this long. The normalization of his pathological dysfunction continues. But he's charming, he says, but he's different in person. So does that excuse the lies, the sexism, the misogyny, the xenophobia, both impeachments, January 6th? When you hear black people talk about white privilege in America, this is what it looks like. AD says the wild thing about Bill Maher's account of meeting Trump is that he accepts as fact that Trump presents a totally false version of himself to the public, to the world, yet it does not occur to him Trump might be presenting a false version of himself in private to Bill Maher. Right. Thank you. D.L. Hughley said Trump is openly defying the highest court in the land, is currently calling for the FCC to revoke the license of CBS, but Bill Maher thinks it's the left that's on a train to Crazy Town. Thank you. And one last one. Josh said, honestly, the Bill Maher Trump visit book report might be the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen on TV. Just go on your own show and tell everyone about how you got played by Trump without realizing that's what you're doing. It's so incredibly stupid. It's almost hilarious. Between that and whatever new law firms bending the knee, I just am like, are you kidding me? And so good for Bernie and AOC being out there. Did Bernie do all the hits? Did he do Freebird and oligarchs and millionaires and billionaires?
I don't think the kids at Coachella know what Freebird is.
No.
But what was cool was that the LA Philharmonic was there and they did a set, which was amazing.
Yeah.
I would have gone for that.
Yeah. But a lot of people were making that point too. The only thing I would say, Chris, is I wish he would join his friend AOC, become a Democrat, stand up for Democrats, which is the only option to stop this fascism, this fascist and his fascist party. It's just, as you know, I'm still annoyed with Bernie for... He's there to take credit for every Democratic win, to sign every bill that helps working people. And then the minute Democrats lose, he's out there bashing Democrats again, going, they're not listening to working people. I mean, and someone was saying, I think online, about if he had, if this had done a voter registration drive, and the thing we can do about this is vote for Democrats, period. But I feel like there's a little bit with Bernie, it's always about Bernie, and so I'm glad. I think AOC, Charlie always says this. AOC is a really savvy politician. Mm-hmm. She is a true blue Democrat, and she says that every time they try to trick her into Democrat bashing or dividing or whatever. As Carlos always says, it's the only path out. Of course, they're imperfect. I don't think Chuck Schumer's the leader for this moment. But, I just, we don't have time for the sort of both sides are, right? I mean, this is...
Yeah, I've never been a fan of Bernie. You know that.
Yeah.
But I think he's been spot on ever since the inauguration.
Yeah.
Everything that he's done has been spot on.
But, I mean, other people are doing it, too. AOC and Chris Murphy and, Governor Pritzker. And there's a lot of, Democrats that are out there. Cory Booker. There's a lot of people that are...
But Bernie represents the older part of the Democratic Party.
I got it. But register Democrats. Get people out to all the people that didn't vote in the last election. That's how we get actual change.
Just because you register someone doesn't mean they're going to vote.
No, I know. Yeah. But I mean, I'm just saying it's...
It's tough because Bernie's pretty well liked among
Absolutely.
younger people.
Right.
All my friends
Right.
in high school
Yes,
were
we need
very big Bernie fans.
Absolutely.
We need all the
And
tools.
I totally
we need,
get that.
We need
Yeah.
all the tools we can get right now to get,
Right.
I mean, the other thing.
Bernie is a bit of an outsider, and I think that
Yeah.
appeals to your
Yeah.
age demographic.
Yeah.
Right. But how Russia installed Trump in the first place was getting enough disaffected Bernie voters to vote for Jill Stein, to vote third party. And that's part of what that generates is, they're both sides are bad. Let's just,
He hasn't been like that since the inauguration. He has been on board with everything the Democrats have done.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. He needs to stay on that because I think AOC.
Yes, he does need to stay on
AOC
it.
and a lot of the younger, speaking to Bella's point, a lot of the younger Democrats, I think, it's just the fire and the urgency we need. And that's not necessarily age related. Elizabeth Warren, I think, is been a great, spokesperson since the election. But anyway, it's just Bill Maher is just stuck right there in my craw because that's what he does is bashes Democrats too, and it's both sides do it, and
Yeah.
Right,
that's why I'm
but-
wearing my woke T-shirt because they won't, the mean liberals won't let me do my Islamophobic jokes, they're too woke.
I think being
you.
surprised by Maher is a bit silly because he's always like this.
I know. Well,
He's
I was telling
always
you.
like
I was
this.
telling you. He said previously he compared it to Nixon going to
Right.
China. And I'm like, oh, you self-important blowhard.
Yeah.
Shut up.
I'm just not surprised by any of this coming from Maher.
But it's just, and also that he wrote all of Trump's insults about him down, and Trump signed it, and it just. But the whole yucking it all, haha, this is all so funny when they're just people getting disappeared off the streets into El Salvadorian gulags, and they're still not complying with the law on that. He is blowing up the world economy, everybody's retirement. Don't go to the effing White House and yuck it up with him and go, look how funny this is.
Right. I've gotten some cards and letters.
Yes.
About your pronunciation.
Yes.
It's El Salvadoran or Salvadoran, not Salvadorian.
Oh, pardon me.
Yes.
Stephanie Miller, specifically Stephanie Miller regrets the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
The extra I?
Yes.
Okay. I have gotten cards and letters about that, though.
When you say pronunciation, I'm like, you're going to have to be more specific.
I was.
You pronounce a lot of things wrong.
I remember,
All right.
yeah. Who was it that corrected you about your pronunciation of posthumous? George Carlin. George Carlin was in studio with us, and he corrected you to your face about your pronunciation of posthumous.
George Carlin is always right, as we can attest. And what was his biggest prediction? China's going to take it all.
Well,
so,
and look where we are.
There we are. Okay. We have Pastor John Pavlovich
Yes.
on the big show, and, of course, his rudeness, the rude pundit, 19 minutes after the hour, this portion of the show. Okay, if you're a homeowner, you need to listen up. When is the last time you checked your home title? That is the legal proof you own your home. If you're like me, the answer is never. I was also like, what? Am I supposed to do that? The problem is, in today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles, and your equity is the target. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee with your county, and boom, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they take out loans using your equity and even sell your property. You won't even know it's happened until you get a collection or foreclosure notice. That's why you need to stop what you're doing right now. Find out today if you're already a victim. Use the promo code Stephanie14 at HometitleLock.com. Make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts, and they will expend up to $1 million to fix any fraud. Go to HometitleLock.com now. The code is Stephanie14. HometitleLock.com, promo code Stephanie14.
Welcome back to day 84 of the first 100 days of the brand new Donald Trump reign of terror, error, and flying by the seat of his pants. Well, of course, it's Sunday, and where are you going to find Donald Trump on a Sunday? But on the golf course. He spent quite a lot of time there, hasn't he? Donald Trump is going to make sure that he enjoys whatever time he has in the White House, particularly if he can enjoy it out on the golf course. And flying by the seat of his pants and going by his gut, if that isn't good enough for you, let's remind you we just have 16 days left before the first 100 days of Donald Trump's new reign of error comes to an end. And in case you don't know, we still have a father stranded in El Salvador that doesn't need to be there. Donald Trump is still threatening members of the press, authors, and of course, people who used to work for him who don't agree with him. And Donald Trump is slicing on the back nine. Well, get ready, folks, because we're turning in to day 85 tomorrow. It just keeps getting better. No, not really.
Oh, hey there, it's Stephanie Miller. If you're like me and you love sharp political insight, pointy, you like it pointy and sharp, bold opinions, and a touch of humor to make sense of these crazy times, have I got some fantastic news for you. The Political Voices Network is now on Substack. This is your new go-to for the best in independent media. We're talking about my show streaming daily with episodes on demand, the fearless of journalism of Brian Karem, the brilliant side-splitting satire of John Fugelsang, the unrelenting working class advocacy of Rick Smith, and so much more. Here's the best part. Subscribing is so easy. You can join for free or go to the extra mile. Support these incredible independent voices by signing up for a full subscription starting at just $8. You'll get access to exclusive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and a chance to directly fuel fearless, unfiltered media. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to politicalvoicesnetwork.com, hit that subscribe button, and become part of the movement keeping truth alive in an era of corporate media overload. Every subscription helps, especially yours. One more time, that is politicalvoicesnetwork.com. Sign up now. Do it.
And he said, I've heard from a lot of people who really like that we're having this dinner. Not all, but a lot. And I said, same. A lot of people told me they loved it, but not all. And we agreed. The people who don't even want us to talk, we don't like you. Don't talk, as opposed to what? Writing the same editorial for the millionth time and making 25-hour speeches into the wind? Really, that's what liberals have? He takes the piss out of everybody else and we can hold ours? Okay, that's my report. You can hate me for it, but I'm not a liar. Trump was gracious and measured, and why he isn't that in other settings, I don't know, and I can't answer, and it's not my place to answer. I'm just telling you what I saw, and I wasn't high. Damn, missed opportunity.
Mere moments from rudeness.
Yep.
Joe agrees with us, Chris. He
What?
said Bill Maher had dinner with Trump. Maher was shocked that Trump wasn't rude to him, and Trump asked him questions, which made Maher feel special. Trump even asked Maher's opinion on what to do with Iran. Maher also said Trump laughed at his jokes. Trump is a used car salesman. So of course, he wasn't going to be rude or dismiss him. That's the point of being a con man. It really doesn't take much to romance Bill Maher or Joe Rogan. Just some attention and laughing at their jokes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I recognized all of this behavior from Trump from the first time I went in to buy my first car.
There you go.
Seriously.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Which is why I use a car buying service for my credit union now, because I don't want to see or talk to anybody at a car dealership.
Yeah, there you
because
go.
of that stuff.
There you go. Blah, blah, blah. This is the one I was talking about. I was saying, yay, go Coachella, go AOC, go Bernie. But spry old Lorax said if Bernie were holding massive voter registration drives, voter education campaigns explaining how to vote strategically in order to get rid of Elon, Trump, and MAGA, I'd be supporting him 100% in doing that. But he's not doing any of that. He's literally doing the opposite. And I think I have 2016 PTSD,
Sure.
Chris.
I know.
I will die mad. Oh, by the way, the firing of Joy Reid is now added on to the things that I will die mad about.
Okay.
Please support. By the way, I'd love to get Stephanie Rule on. We have some audio. And I know John Fugelsang, our friend, is on her show a lot. But she's been fantastic just because she is very knowledgeable, obviously, about financial markets. And she's just been dead on in terms of people just voicing the urgency of this moment, whether it's the world economy or whatever. But anyway, where was my, dying mad about 26. Yeah. It's just, I'm just saying, when that energy doesn't go, like Carlos always says, he voted for Bernie in the primary, when all of that energy doesn't go to electing Democrats, right? When anything that adds at this point to the both sidesing of things. I mean, this is, by the way, as horrible as this moment is, this is, like Rude Pundit writes a piece, what a moment this is for Democrats to coalesce. I mean, if we can't agree that you can't disappear people with no, due process in America, then I don't know where we are.
Yeah, I think I would argue with the Bernie at Coachella thing is that at least the demographic he was going for, it's more about waking these people up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
At least in this moment, I totally agree that
seize
it
this
should
moment.
involve some voter education, but also, I mean, half the people at Coachella that are my
Because you can
age-
say, okay, boomer, and you're right that we put everything up, but then we can always go, yeah, but then you kids don't vote.
Exactly.
That happens too. Right?
So, I guarantee you, half the people at Coachella who are in my demographic didn't vote or weren't registered.
Right.
So
That's what we have to change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sherry in Olympia, Washington. Hello.
Hey, Steph.
Hey, go ahead.
So the Bernie thing makes me crazy. I called you guys when he first was running, and if Hillary had said, get rid of NAFTA, CAFTA, Telecommunications Act, Glass-Steagall, all of that, Bernie has been right about everything, always, because it's about the working people. Since Reagan, I mean, Thom Hartmann tells us every day, and he's right.
Right.
Since Reaganomics, the working man has gotten totally, I'm not going to say the word, of course.
Screwed.
And
No, I mean,
so
and this
here
Trump
we
administration is proving Bernie's point exactly that he's always talked about.
Yes, and he's always been right, and the Democratic Party pushed him out. I mean, it is what it is. But at this point, we just all have to remember. I live in a we used to be blue, a lot of union.
Yeah.
Then the unions started going away. Walmart came, and now they're all a bunch of MAGAs. But they were voting for Bernie, because he had the populist message.
Right.
We need to
Sherry, I got it. Yeah, I hear you. And I do agree with a lot of what Bernie's saying, but Democratic Party didn't push him out. He didn't. They voted. The primary was not even close. Chris, you and I lived through the Obama-Hillary primary. That was excruciatingly close.
It was.
And I got called a Hillary hater every day because I was for Obama. But it was.
Supporting independent media should...
And they're effectively disappearing people. And they're building a framework by which, and that is where I think all of these cases begin to come together, whether you're talking about Mahmoud Khalil, whether you were talking about Abrego Garcia. And there was a great piece in Slate by our friend Joseph. Thank you. Has three names and never remember which order they're in. And he writes, Trump's newly confirmed Solicitor General, John Sauer, is openly asking the justices, the Supreme Court justices, to affirm the government's right to establish a black site in El Salvador, to which any individual may be renditioned without legal recourse. Once there, they are subject to indefinite detention, hard labor, torture, and death. According to Sauer, however, American courts are powerless to order their return, even when the government admits to removing them by mistake.
Yeah.
How convenient.
As a conservative federal judge essentially said, I may not have the quote right, but there, in the Fourth Circuit, a very famous judge, Judge Wilkins, has said in handling one of these cases, said they're creating a regime of perfect lawlessness. Okay? They are basically creating a black hole for due process. And what they are doing is basically they're saying, okay, We're going to send them somewhere. We're going to pay these people to hold them, but then we're not responsible for them. We're not responsible if we make a mistake. We're not responsible if we do it for the wrong reason. We're not responsible, and we can't get them back. Sorry.
Right.
Okay? And not only that, this CCOT, or whatever you call this prison that they have here, that's in El Salvador, it's run by gangs, essentially. And it's, and people, I'm not sure people actually come out of there. I mean, we're talking, this is the road to, I mean, this is what they started doing in Germany in the 30s. And we're on the road here to something, I mean, if we're not already there, something really,
they're
awful.
creating the black. I'm curious, Jesus, you said that we have to love our neighbor. Did you mean it like love your neighbor even if he voted for fascism, or is there a clause we missed? Do we still have to love them if they voted for racists and fascists, Jesus?
You know what? This is a bit of a tough one for me, I have to admit, because I do. It is in my DNA to love thy neighbor. That's sort of my whole thing.
Yeah,
I guess I would say you need to try to believe. You got to try to look for the best in people. And I think a good reminder is that we get down in all this fighting on social media time and time again. It's exhausting and you think everybody's evil. But when you actually go and meet your neighbor, maybe physically next door, you realize, oh, yeah, they did vote for Trump and they do want to roll back my rights, but they are still a nice person.
It's very confusing because they're just brainwashed. Yeah.
But this is why I like your son so much. He won't let me hate these people. He won't let me hate them, even when they're begging for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the First Lady, Melania Trump.
Hello, I am Melania, the First Lady. And I just want to say I appreciate all the enthusiasm for my husband and his resilience. Put on the UN headset, it is not my fault. New York is where I'd rather be. I get allergic smelling hay. But I just want you to know that I am not stealing any part of this speech tonight from Michelle Obama or anyone else. I was raised a poor black child on the south side of Chicago, where my daddy was a cop. Back in the bad old days, back in the USA. Ask not what you can do for your country, but what your country can do for you. And we have nothing to fear but the fear itself. And also Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Thank you. And good night.
With him, Rich. Not you, not me, not the people.
Go on, AOC. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, Chris, did you see this? Trump had his physical. Representative Jack Kimball says President Trump is now 6'3", 224 pounds with 4.8% body fat. We might lose him to the NFL draft. Wow. It's amazing. He's gotten really even more of a... Yeah. He also said the doctor loved looking at his body.
What?
Okay, I got it.
Good morning. You know what I also love about that medical report? The doctor's name is Barbarella.
No! I didn't see that detail.
Dr. La Barbarella.
We are full on North Korea, man. It is just unbelievable. By the way, to your point that Bella just talked about, kids at Coachella voting or not, you just said them. It's looked up what Trump is doing to immigrants. Me. Did you vote? Them. What? Me. In 2024, did you? Them. No, but me. Then I'm not going to listen to a word you say until you punch yourself in the face. Them. Huh? Punch yourself in the face hard, and then I will give up about your opinion. Thank you for your usual rude bluntness.
Yeah. So the first question I ask whenever somebody says, oh, it's so horrible what he's doing. Yeah, really? Either did, and then of course they say they did vote. The next question is, who'd you vote for?
Yeah. I was going to say I sent. Where is it? I sent this tweet to my friends who live in Asheville, North Carolina. Doug said, I live in North Carolina. Trump won this state in large part because rural voters in the western part of North Carolina. Today, Trump thanked those voters by denying their request for FEMA relief from Hurricane Helene, calling it unwarranted. He's the one that said Joe Biden left North Carolina behind, right? FEMA did this and that X, Y, and Z lies, right? And my friend in Asheville's like, they all watch Fox News, though. In the rural parts of North Carolina. So here we are.
Yeah, they won't even hear about it until and then when their internet goes down and there's no way to bring it back up, they'll all blame 5G or something like that.
You threaded going to be remarkable to see the speed with which the rest of the world figures out how to get by without the United States. I saw a Chinese official, on TV just saying, we've been here 5,000 years. We, did fine without the U.S. We'll be here 5,000 more years. Like, they're like, but what if the U.S. doesn't buy your heat? They're like, we don't care.
Yeah. And I love the other thing that was in that. I mean, not that you gotta hand it to the Chinese, but
right.
When they said we've been here for 5,000 years, most of those without the United States even existing.
Right.
So,
and he obviously caved already to China on iPhones. I mean, it's like he's just, it's completely incomprehensible mess, this whole, and to my point, can I just say our friend Dean Obadala, we were talking about Bill Maher and the latest person bending the knee or whatever law firms, and he said Trump and the GOP are destroying the economy, silencing dissent, using the government to punish law firms and others who oppose Trump, threatened to deport Americans to a prison in El Salvador. But what is corporate media reporting on? Democrats are in disarray. I'm serious. I mean, anything that adds to that is helping us get to fascism quicker, in my opinion, Rude.
Yeah. I will say that another possible read of Bill Maher is please don't send me to El Salvador.
I know. And then in the meantime, he just did you see he just had his latest meltdown over 60 Minutes, calling on the FCC to whatever, take away their license. What they did is illegal. And they just did a factual story about Ukraine and about Greenland. And that, but here we are. Right, you really think...
right. But then they'll scream about censorship. They'll scream about oh no, so and so wouldn't amplify the Nazis, so therefore they are censoring alternate points of view or something like that. It's just stupid. And every time that happens, I mean, he ordered the DOJ to investigate two people. I mean, it doesn't even need to be said, but if any Democrat had done that, it would have been DC would be burning. They'd be sacrificing goats in the streets to try to bring attention to it.
You just, I just love, you were just all over it on Blue Sky this weekend. You said you understand people hiding migrant families in their attics is on the table now, right? Do you understand who are the Nazis in this situation? I'll give you a hint. It's the ones burning down the Jewish governor's house and going to attack him with a hammer.
Which again, I think you've already noted, Trump.
Oh no! He froze. He froze it. He was demonstrating how Trump froze and has said nothing, condemning the attack on Governor Shapiro.
Are we back? Are we back?
There you go.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead, Rude.
Dag
nabbit. Curses and dratting curses. He's so pretty when he freezes, though. Okay. It says our internet connection is unstable.
Great.
Okay. All right. Yes, he was, I think, echoing my point that, of course, this is the environment we're in. The White House has said nothing.
Hello.
Right?
You're back.
Rude. Yes. Go ahead.
Yes. No. That's why I was just saying that the White House hasn't said anything, and if this had been a Republican governor, it would have been I don't want to say that.
Yes.
It would have been It would have been seen as an emergency, as a reason to condemn groups of people, and I'm sorry, this is the real anti-Semitism in this country. It's not college students protesting to try to stop the mass murder in Gaza.
Yep.
It's this.
Yep. Yeah, you said according to these mother effers, you are pro-terrorist if you oppose Israel's ethnic cleansing of Gaza. If you don't want Palestinian children mass murdered, you are pro-Hamas and their corrupt eyes. You deserve to be punished for it. Trump wants them to punish CBS for having Zelensky on, who, by the way, they just had the worst civilian attack ever. This weekend in Ukraine?
Yeah.
A Russian missile, right? And so
Trump actually did say something about that. He did say it was horrible. But then he said, but the whole war is horrible. So, both sidesing.
Right.
The war.
Yeah. And also because CBS had the audacity to point out that he did not end the war in a day. Between Russia and Ukraine.
But
there is no ceasefire in Gaza. There's no,
He was being sarcastic. God, you can't actually listen to what he says.
I just don't appreciate the deep, deep humor. So you say you retweeted Trump administration asserts Garcia is alive and secure, but is under the foreign domestic authority of El Salvador. And you said, so Trump is El Salvador's bitch? He's such a punk-ass bitch, he can't get on an innocent man release? Because that's what he's saying. I mean, you said, man, I want a president who isn't the bitch of dictators.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's coming to the White House. Put the guy on your plane, right?
Yeah. You mean Mr. I can get people out of Russia? Mr. Art of the Deal can't do this? I mean, I love the Justice Department, the State Department's comments saying, well, now this is a whole foreign policy thing, and the courts have no say over foreign policy and you can't step on. I'm like, no, it's not foreign policy. It's not.
Yeah.
You made this happen.
Yeah.
Our country made this happen. It took somebody out of our country and put them in another country, and without any due process. And I don't know how many human rights and laws were violated here. It is the most aggravating, enraging thing. And I think it's something that I think that Democrats and everyone can focus on and say, this is the cause.
Yeah,
this is it.
Well, right. I mean, let's, like as you say, hope this is what lights the fuse. You wrote a new piece, The Release of Garcia is the issue we all need to rally behind. And just go over the facts of the case. He was granted permission in 2019 to stay in the U.S. by an immigration judge due to the fact he faced a genuine threat of being killed in his native El Salvador. He got work as a metal apprentice in Maryland, joined the local union there. He was making a life for himself in this country, supporting his wife and 3 kids, including a 5-year-old with autism who is unable to speak. And you said that one of the biggest unions in the country has made opposition to Garcia's kidnapping, and that's what it needs to be called, because that sure as S what it was. Thank you. It was not anything other than a kidnapping. You said it's invited millions of members to join in, because that's what you effing well do. You stand up to the a-holes who are abusing your fellow human beings. And Rude, you're right. If this is not something we can't agree on as Americans, that you can't be disappeared with no due process, then we are really lost, right?
Yeah, and I mean, there was that awesome speech by the president of the North American Building Trades Union, a coalition of unions that has 3 million members. And this guy, this older white guy, gets up there and says, we need to stand up for all of our union members, including our brother that is being held in El Salvador. Bring him home. And all of these old and middle-aged, mostly white guys were standing up and applauding for this. This is something that people can get their heads around so easily. And while there's been some Democratic, speaking out about it, it needs to be a big thing, because we all can get this. And they're going to come back and say, well, he's MS-13. A judge said he was MS-13. No, that did happen, but there was no evidence of that. It was one jailhouse, one informant who was later discredited, and he was never convicted of anything. He was never even charged with a crime.
Yeah, which is why we have due process. But no, I got it. Frances from Frangela talked about an ICE raid at the house next door to her. I have a friend whose partner's Jewish. They're literally talking about leaving the country because I mean that's where we're at. That's the point of it. Is it's terrorism. It's scaring people to the degree. I mean, you by the way made a great point. You said that if the Trump administration had said we effed up, we'll do better, and brought Garcia home, they would have given the whole horrific deportation scheme a patina of credibility. But that they haven't done that means they don't give an S about what anyone says about it, including the courts. And here we are in our latest level of constitutional crisis, right?
Yeah.
So now was it Friday? They're like, oh yeah, we don't know where he is. Right, and then now they're going, oh yeah, oh okay, right, he's in El Salvador,
right, Salvadoran
prison.
Yes.
But no word on what they're going to do about it. I mean,
no. They said yesterday. They said, yeah, we can't do anything about it, and you can't do anything about it. And by the way, because we're declaring him MS-13, that's a terrorist organization. We declared that a terrorist organization. So now we don't have to do anything about it because now it's the president doing something about a terrorist organization. And all I can think is my mind is exploding because of all the times we screamed about Gitmo and putting alleged terrorists in Gitmo way back in 2001. And just leaving them there with no charge and no trial, and having been wrong about virtually everybody put there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but here's one a silver lining is you tweeted the Social Security Administration is gutting regional staff and shifting all of its public communications to Elon Musk's X. Mm-hmm. And you said until the government nationalizes X, this is some bull. And even then, it's some bull. What I was going to say, the silver lining is there has been enough public outcry that I guess they are, stopping the cuts to staffing and people answering the phones at Social Security or whatever. So to your point of your whole new piece this week, Rude, it is working. A lot of the public outcry is working in a lot of areas, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and hopefully, if they hold some press conference, that some reporter today with the El Salvadoran president, hopefully some reporter.
I melded El Salvador and a DeLorean. I wanted to go back in time to a time before America was putting people in El Salvadoran prisons.
El Salvadorians,
yes,
sending them back in time.
My El Salvadorian, yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you meant.
Yes.
Just go with it. Your job is to prop me up.
But like somebody needs to say, hey, could you put that guy on a plane and brought him here? I mean, you were flying here.
We're
Just
paying them.
Bring him home. You could have done that. I also think they also said that that the Supreme Court only wants if he makes it back to the country. The Supreme Court has said we have to let him back in.
Yeah.
So they're saying we don't have any role in actually getting him back here. So I'm thinking governor of Maryland, where Abrego Garcia is from, should go down there. One of Maryland's senators should negotiate and bring him back, and then see if the government lets him in.
If we. To your point, if we find a way to fight, there are creative things to do. Someone suggested Letitia James can investigate insider trading in a meaningful way. She's New York. That's where the stock market is. For us, they're planning on us just throwing up our hands and going, "Oh, well, we just can't do anything about any of this." By the way, in Dear Leader, North Korean news today. This was an actual question, Chris, at an actual news conference.
Okay.
Will you guys consider releasing the president's fitness plan? He actually looks healthier than ever before.
Yeah.
Is he working? Is he working out with Bobby Kennedy? Is he eating less McDonald's? Oh my God. As if we can't see this gelatinous orange Jabba the Hutt sweaty glazed ham every day, right?
I know. Yeah. No, it was just repulsive. I mean, you're sitting there going, what does his taint taste like?
Oh,
because
rude,
you're
Louise.
nuzzled up right under there and getting the full flavor.
Oh my God. Okay.
I just think I'm gonna buy it.
On that note, goodbye.
I'm guessing baby powder and
yes.
and old tissue.
Rude is in his name, Stephanie. You asked for it.
Who could have seen it coming? Okay, love you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Rude.
We linked to his latest Rudest piece. 50 minutes after the hour. This portion of the show brought to you by Oh Hi Friends. Angela. Hi.
Oh, hello.
Hello, hello. Well, listen, Francis, I badly told your cow and the buffalo story, but about the resistance. But because I learn almost everything I know in life from the final word or idiot of the week. So explain again, please, because I thought I knew every story from Soul Cycle, from feeding the right wolf and
right.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's the difference between cows and buffaloes. So when there's a big storm, cows get afraid and they run away from the storm, which causes them to become extremely exhausted, right, from running away. And then when the storm will always catch up with them. Right. You cannot outrun the storm.
No, you can't.
Right?
No, you can't.
So
particularly if you're feeding the wrong wolf. Yeah, but go
That's
ahead.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So when the storm catches up to them, not only are they being drenched and sometimes drowning, but that's because they're exhausted. Because they ran away from the problem. On the other hand, what the buffalo do when they sense a storm coming, they run into the storm. Okay? They run into it and they run through the storm and they let the storm. So the storm is moving forward and they're moving past it and they're letting it move past them so that they use all their energy to go through the storm as opposed to running away from it. And that is what Democrats need to do.
There you go. I was waiting for the point of the story. Yes, okay, because I remember there was a point, but then I got sort of lost in the whole, wildlife of it. But yes, but it's the whole week saying every week here, modeling courage and not cowardice. Run, toward the storm. I keep saying if everybody stops bending the knee, he is powerless. When will we get this?
The only reason anything he says happens, because I think Donald Trump does believe that when he writes it down, it's in law, but he can't legislate. That's not the executive branches. They can veto whatever, but he can't actually make laws. But if everybody does hups twos when he writes it down, then he is.
Right.
And the idea that Congress has abdicated, the Republicans have completely abdicated their power. What that says to me is the Democrats, and I think that this is why I have this lingering hate towards Chuck Schumer, because all you had to do was vote no.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what Democrats want right now. We want you to obstruct every part of this fascism. Yeah.
Make it difficult. Make it hard. Be the friction, And I mean, pretend you're a toddler who don't want to go to sleep. Figure it out.
What is the name of that Twilight Zone with the kid who, everybody is trying to
That's very good, Timmy. You did a very good thing by turning my husband into a horse. That was very good.
Where he wishes people out into the cornfield.
Yes. That's Donald Trump. And that is how people are treating him. They're treating him like this.
Like he actually has these powers.
Like he has powers.
And look at him.
And he doesn't.
Backing down like the little bitch that he is on the tariffs. You're right. And I keep saying more than one thing can be true at once. Of course, it was all an insider trading scam. But at the same time, he's a giant who blinked. He always blinks because he has no idea what he's doing. And, the bond markets went crazy. Goldman Sachs called it a recession's coming. And he freaked out. I mean, it's just to try
as he should.
Right.
Yeah, but the problem is the chaos creates the disaster.
Yep.
So, he may not do the tariff, but it doesn't matter now. It's like what we've said to the world is you cannot trust us.
Right.
We are utterly crazy, unpredictable, and stupid.
And they're making deals without us.
Absolutely. We are uniting the rest of the planet.
Our favorite, analogy this week was someone saying he did the, stand up and walk out of the dealership move, and the car seller's like, okay, see ya.
I guess
the rest of the world's like, all right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really? But when you give him this power, see, that's why with these law firms that are buckling, that are coming in there and giving these deals, I don't believe that they're scared. I don't believe that they're worried about their business. What I believe is that this is an agenda they agree with.
Yeah.
Because that is the only way to view, when you view this through any other prism, it doesn't make economic sense. It doesn't make this sense. It doesn't make that. The sense it does make is if this is a fascist power and money grab.
Stephanie Miller.
Sorry. It is the Stephanie Miller Show. Welcome to it. To Rude Pundit's point, Nev Bear says the reason the Trump administration was so desperate to avoid having to return the guy they wrongfully deported to an El Salvadoran, they did it.
Yeah.
Prison. I said it right.
Yeah.
It's because they really don't want him coming back and describing in vivid firsthand detail what's going on there. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that's part of it. Chris, who said the 2024 election wasn't a restaurant where you could order cheaper eggs, but police lately asked for the server to hold the fascism. You're still getting the fascism, and your eggs aren't just overpriced. Now they're broken and rotten.
Mickey Mouse.
No, that was our friend Aaron Rupar. Love him. Okay, Karen. Speaking of love, Karen in Chicago. Boo 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 foo.
Good. Hello, Smoothie Bear. Good morning.
Hello.
You know that soundbite that you have, that bull in get out of my house, get out now.
Yes, from the heat.
Bull in China shop.
Yes, yes.
Yes, that to me, that's what I hear every time I hear people talking about what is the solution to the invasion of Ukraine.
Thank you.
By Russia. Get out. That's all he has to do.
You send her over. You send her over as the main
Yes.
negotiator, and it's all over. She just says that to Russia, correct?
Exactly.
Anything can be
Exactly.
solved
But
tangentially by Sandra Bullock and/or Melissa McCarthy. That is my magic formula.
I
in
agree.
life. Yes.
I agree, and with laughter. But
Hang on.
I
Karen,
wanna
hang
say,
on.
if
Hang on. Karen, my
Okay.
Ukrainian negotiator is here.
You get the out of my house now. Get out.
There you go. And solved. Okay, go ahead.
Done. So, okay, as far as Bernie, I love Bernie, voted for Bernie in the primaries, but when I hear people now continue to talk about how Bernie was pushed out, one would have to be a Democrat in order to be pushed out of the Democratic Party.
Thank you.
He's never been a Democrat. He's caucused with the Democratic Party. I do think that, we know now about the Russian micro-targeting. I think that a lot of the messages that were...
And boy, what did Jesus say? What did that thing you said about the camels in heaven, Jesus?
The camels in heaven. I'm forgetting what you're referring to at the moment.
Something about an eye of a needle and a camel.
Oh, that. Yes. It's easier for a
Camels in
camel
heaven.
to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into heaven.
That's
and
it.
for God, I mean, he got really tired of all the social media nonsense, so then he moved over to podcasting and
Yeah,
letter.
basically, John, I don't post on X, but someday someday soon he might have to sell it again. But Blue Sky is kind of tight right now.
Nice, yeah.
And I'm doing my thing on Substack because it's popping off over there.
Any
And,
play messages from you is great for me because I would imagine that a burning bush is great, but Twitter was fine, I guess. But a burning bush, you never have Nazis giving comments afterwards. So I appreciate whenever you weigh in.
Yeah, it's just what is it? I thought that no Nazis was something that everybody was like in agreement with for a long time, it seems, and then all of a sudden it's just like Elon is Sig Heiling. They're all Sig Heiling, and boy, the masks came off, didn't they?
The masks came off, and underneath it was a hood. God, I have a question about that. Do you still bless America, or do you bless America kind of ironically now, like when a parent brags about their least successful child? Like, do you still bless us?
Wow, there's a lot of good people, and I bless them, like you, John Fugelsang. How do you damn a whole? There's good people and bad everywhere, right?
Yeah, I know. That was the problem with Sodom and Gomorrah.
But I tell you, yeah, when people say God bless America, I'm like, bro, shut up. You're making me look bad. Why you got to link me to that right now? Okay, as if my numbers aren't bad enough.
Yeah.
Jesus, let me ask you a question. On a scale from turn the other cheek to flip a table in the temple, how pissed off are you at American Christianity right now?
I am very pissed off at American Christianity. They've twisted my words, my dad's words, time and time again, and we've become sick of it. We also hate how Trump takes getting back to God's point. Trump said a couple of weeks or a few months ago, I guess now at this point, he said he was saved by God to make America great again.
I wanted to ask
No.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, God had absolutely nothing to do with that. I had absolutely nothing to do with that. They just twist our words, and let's face it, I'm a socialist.
I cracked the code, you guys. Listen, they're using ChatGPT to come up with their tariff plans. And I have detected at this point, it's been like 8 years, John, or whatever.
Yeah.
How many times has Trump done something where they're like, that was in a B-80s movie?
Yeah. Well, that seems to be what's going on here with the money lenders in our government. But I just feel for both of you watching the news here, because I imagine the two of you watching America and constantly both of you screaming, "That's not what I meant," from heaven at these evangelicals.
Yeah. I mean, mostly my reaction is just like, the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I can't believe he's selling Bibles now.
He's put his name on it too. Yeah. I mean, you should have copyrighted that when you had the chance. The whole cross brand. If you had copyrighted the whole cross, you could have probably raked it in with merchandising and not had to, the church wouldn't have had to pillage so much.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Disney, I would just basically have the copyright to the letter T.
I'm curious, Jesus, you said that we have to love our neighbor.
Oh,
did you mean it like love your neighbor even if he voted for fascism, or is there a clause we missed? Do we still have to love them if they voted for racists and fascists, Jesus?
You know what? This is a bit of a tough one for me, I have to admit, because it is in my DNA to love thy neighbor. That's sort of my whole thing.
Yeah, it's your bit.
I guess I would say you need to try to believe in, you got to try to look for the best in people. And I think a good reminder is that we get down and then all this fighting on social media time and time again. It's exhausting and you think everybody's evil. But when you actually go and meet your neighbor, maybe physically next door, you realize, oh, yeah, they did vote for Trump and they do want to roll back my rights, but they are still a nice person.
It's very confusing because they're just brainwashed. Yeah.
But this is why I like your son so much. He won't let me hate these people. He won't let me hate them, even when they're begging for it.
I am forgiving to a fault, and often on the podcast, I am trying to pull God out of the gutters. He gets so sad sometimes, and I get it, but you gotta see the best in people. If you don't have any hope, I mean, what's the point?
You're such a Mr. Rod. Did you used to watch a lot of Mr. Rogers? Where did you get all that stuff, Jesus?
Yes, Dad. You used to play it for me all the time while you were answering prayers. That was like my iPad at the time. Yeah, what was his line? Look for the helpers.
Yeah, the neighbors.
I mean, yeah, Jesus, your last words, you were forgiving the people who were violently murdering you. So I'll say at least you kept it consistent.
The only person that he didn't forgive was me. He was like, oh, why have you forsaken me?
It's not like he was playing victim, God. He was being brutalized pretty hard at the moment.
Yeah.
True,
and like I said earlier,
immortal.
he doesn't let me forget it. He does not let me forget my crucifixion. So he's been getting back at me just
speaking
plenty.
Of which, coming up in a couple days,
Oh,
420,
no.
bro. This year, Easter falls on 420.
I'm hoping you're so high you totally forget that it's Easter. I get out of it scotch-free. John, actually, 1 year on the podcast, I did duke it out with the Easter Bunny because she was kind of coming up on my whole holiday. And yeah. So we brawled it out. Who won? God, I can't remember. I think she won. I think she beat the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Guys, America is like the perfect representation of a narcissistic parent.
Yes.
Always looking out for people on the outside so they appear like this amazing person.
Yes.
While their people at home are suffering.
We are hurting. since this trade disaster began. And I have spent that week speaking to investors here and abroad. And what I feel most tonight is scared. Scared that what we are facing is a crisis of confidence. Confidence in us, the United States of America. And what I have not heard from any of the people that I speak to is exactly what might restore that confidence.
Yeah, Stephanie Rule has been fantastic.
She rules, dare I say.
She does. She is literally the second best Stephanie in media. Right, one more.
The markets continue to sink, both the bond and stock market, in part because the basis by which we're negotiating trade is not rooted in truth. And for those who believe countries are scrambling to make a deal because they were so panicked about the enormous tariffs and now they're much lower, my question is, what is that deal? What do you think the likes of Vietnam can do to erase our trade deficit? You know what the answer is? They can't.
Yeah. One last one. Stephanie Rule.
It is safe to say that the perch we and our American exceptionalism sat on, even a few months ago, has certainly been lowered. We've got an agriculture secretary who tells us, build a chicken coop in your backyard because eggs are expensive. We have a defense secretary sharing military secrets in a group chat. We are potentially lawlessly firing thousands of federal workers and defunding science while we buy crypto. We have lost an enormous amount of credibility and trust.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, Chris, tweet after tweet. It's just... China has officially canceled all imports of U.S. beef. 2.5 billion will now replace it with beef from Australia. MAGA farmers and ranchers are entering the FO phase of FAFO. Vivek said China is now quietly choking off U.S. exports from deep red states like Iowa and Nebraska using non-tariff barriers. Beijing is blocking U.S. beef, poultry, and natural gas under the guise of safety concerns. This will be devastating to farmers. Enjoy what you voted for, MAGA. I mean, and here we go where they're going to say now we got to bail out the farmers again. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Chris, I am reaching the end of, we are the liberals that always want to help other people and don't want, you know, anyone to be heard. And here we are. You keep voting for this, and then they call us socialists, but then ask us for bailouts again. Mike says Don is oranging his pants bigly after financial geniuses outside his inner circle jerk explained that Canada, EU, and Japan snapped up enough U.S. Treasury bonds after he was elected to reap huge havoc on the U.S. dollar and borrowing costs by selling them off if he started threatening the world left and right, which they are because he is. Yeah. To Stephanie Rule's point about the bond market, someone was talking about how you do have to give him credit. Didn't he say the other day, nobody but me could have done this? I think that is the one thing, Chris, that is, someone's like, to destroy the stock and the bond market is really, that takes some doing.
That's the one chunk of hyperbole that he's actually done.
Right. Yes. Joe Walsh said, so the man who is actively dismantling our democratic institution, the man who is currently saying due process, snatching innocent people off our streets, dumping them into foreign gulags, that man is charming in private. Do I have that right, Bill Maher? Thank you. Thank you, Joe Walsh. Because I just thought I was taking crazy pills over the weekend between. Okay. Right. As one more, the latest cave-in. So why would Trump cancel the Chinese tariffs on phones and computers? If China is the one paying the tariff, it seems that would be a big moneymaker, unless he's lying. I mean, every move he makes contradicts the last one. Right. And it's, okay. Steve in Vermont. Hello, Steve.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I hate to disagree with you guys, but the Democratic Party didn't take up Bernie's message, but who did take up Bernie's message was Donald Trump during that election. And that is why Donald ended up winning. Because if you remember, Donald said, I'm going to tax the rich. They're going to hate me. They're going to do this. Right. I'm going after everything that Bernie did. If Hillary would have done that, she would have walked into that election. And that's the truth.
Okay, except that they don't seem to care that Trump was lying. He obviously was lying. He's the biggest liar.
He was telling them what they wanted to hear,
but they
and got the votes because of it.
Lying.
Exactly.
Right. He didn't know what.
Exactly.
But here's my question.
He didn't know that.
Here's my question, Chris. This is in good faith a question, and I don't normally do that, so pay attention.
Okay.
No, thank you, Steve, for your call. No, I've been meaning to ask you this. I was telling my friend I wanted to ask you this this morning, that you always say, you're not talking about MAGA when you're saying don't call them stupid, don't, we can't talk down to them. You're talking about moderates.
MAGA are the people that go to the Trump rallies and all of that.
I'm really honestly trying to get my head around, Chris, is how 2016, I get it. Russia gave him an enormous amount of help, enormous amount of disinformation. There had already been a 20-year campaign against Hillary Clinton, between The Apprentice and, he's a brilliant businessman. I can understand how that happened. But how do you call yourself a moderate if you voted for him in 2024? How is that in any way a moderate? Someone that
never said it was
watched
moderate.
him crash the economy, watched him drive up the debt more than any president in our history. On and on. A 34-count adjudicated felon, adjudicated rapist. How could you possibly say moderates that you're a moderate if you voted for Trump now?
Well, a felon didn't run in 2016.
I'm talking about 2024.
Okay.
You're saying we need to talk to those not MAGA.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying moderates, but I don't understand honestly in my soul how you could ever you can call yourself moderate.
I don't really
and have
ever
voted for
say
Trump.
moderate. I say we have to talk to people who aren't MAGA.
Okay.
Yeah. I see where Chris is coming from in terms of like the people who claim they're apolitical, they don't pay attention, they don't do their own research.
But in a presidential election, they'll go and vote.
And if that's the case, if they're hearing someone say all the right things,
he was literally fact checked at least 30,000 times
but
as
they're
long.
not checking.
Those people don't check fact checks.
Yeah.
We do because we work in politics.
This what do
the
you call
vast
it?
majority of people out there, like I keep saying, don't marinate in this 24 hours a day.
This press conference targeting the U.S. citizens, even Miles Taylor and Chris Krebs.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what it is, everything he says at this point is a lie. But he's like, there's a lot of more and more news stories about all the fraud, the massive fraud in 2020, and one reporter goes, really? Which stories? Which newspaper? But his cult doesn't check it. They just go, there must be lots of stories about how much fraud there was in 2020.
Right, and the vast swath of people out there don't check it.
He's like, all the newspapers, there's more and more stories every day now about all the fraud in 2020. And that's just like, whoop, just with the other,
Someone in charge is saying that to a lot to a lot of people.
The
resonates.
thing I don't understand, and where I agree with Stephanie, is people people in the middle who don't do their own research, they don't really pay attention to that.
They're pretty much apolitical until every 4 years when the election comes around.
Most people watch the debates, I would say, and during
or at least see
clips of it.
Sure.
Like
during the debates, Kamala was like, he's lying the entire time. So how could you not take that to heart? Yeah. Unless you're just a misogynist.
And
I don't
things
by,
they say
by then it was a month out of the elections, and a lot of people had made up of their minds by then.
But when people go, they didn't. Kamala talked about all of it. We have all the tape to prove it.
Yeah.
It's like, this one. If you say you're a smart, you're a business person. The financial. He said he was going to do all this.
Mm-hmm.
This headline: fund managers quietly fear Trump doesn't have a tariff plan and that he might be insane.
Mm-hmm.
Some fund managers concerned the White House is not acting rationally, but rather on ideology. Some even fear this may not even be idea. Did you just start? How slow a learner are you? Did you just start paying attention to the first time he crashed the economy and that he's been talking about tariffs forever? And it's always been a stupid policy the way it's just... this one. I just was. Don said the moment no one thought would happen happened. Countries are no longer interested in buying U.S. government bonds. They're actually more interested in selling them. This might actually be the worst economic failure by any U.S. president in history. But go ahead.
I mean, you talk to the average person out there; they don't know what a bond does.
Yeah.
And so all of that sort of thing is totally in the weeds.
Yeah.
When you say to somebody, we import way more than we export, and so we don't make our own stuff here, that resonates.
Yeah.
Right. Your friends whose business is being decimated because all of the orders from Canada.
All of their orders. I mean, their business isn't being decimated, but all of their orders from Canada have been canceled.
But I mean, this in terms of regular people. Thom tweets, "My daughter is a third-party seller on Amazon. She paid $6,500 for 500 units of inventory from China that is scheduled to arrive at the port later this week. She just received an invoice from the freight company for $3,900 for duties, taxes, and fees. They were quoted as $300. I mean, that's what the real effects of real people are seeing.
And once real people's pocketbooks and wallets and checking accounts start to get affected, that's when you'll see movement.
Yeah, we really underestimate how selfish a lot of voters are, which is not.
It's human
yes,
nature.
Yes,
to be selfish, to take care of your own self and your own family.
Chris, who said Trump cannot assuage the bond market? He cannot convince it that he is normal and he should be given the benefit of the doubt. He cannot scare it into submission. He cannot bribe it. The bond market is not like the Supreme Court or Paul Weiss or Columbia. Who said that?
Snap, crackle, and pop.
Oh, no, that was a good one. No, that's in the Bulwark. I don't know who wrote it. Does it matter? It's true. Okay. David in Alabama would like to, I think, the Titanic analogy. Mama, I wanted to chime in here as you keep using the analogy that Trump and company's handling of the economy is like the Titanic running into the iceberg. Go ahead and load the nerd cannon here. But experts say, oh boy, I believe we have the largest demographic of sticklers in the world. Don't you think?
Radio listeners tend to be sticklers.
Experts say the Titanic. That if Titanic had run head-on into the iceberg, it wouldn't have sunk. It would have flooded the forward compartments, and the flood doors would have come down as designed. The ship would have been damaged, surely, but it wouldn't have sunk. Veering away from the iceberg was why the Titanic sunk, because it ripped several small holes along the ship's starboard side, and that's why the flood doors weren't effectual. Nerd. Love you, Mama. Okay,
they actually kind of go over that in the movie.
They do. He explains it when they're going down to Kate Winslet what's happening. Bella's point remains, MAGA voters are the selfish Kate Winslet bitches that just pretend there's not enough room for two people on the piece of wood, and there obviously is.
They also explained it in the Bill Paxton part at the very beginning of the movie, when he's about ready to go down. And,
Sorry.
There's that computer animation of the iceberg ripping along the starboard side.
Yeah. Okay. I think it was just turning away. It was too late.
Yes.
Yes.
You know what?
Yeah.
We should be like Francis Calliers about the buffaloes and the cows. We should be the buffaloes. Just go right straight through the storm, get through it faster, and then something hit the iceberg head on because then
Why are buffaloes smarter than cows?
I don't know.
I don't think we've ever determined that.
I'm exhausted. All right. Pastor John Pavlovitz coming up 19 minutes after the hour. Pardon me. This portion of Glenn, your thoughts just on that since we just played it. Attorney General Pam Bondi saying you go to jail for 20 years, no negotiations for Tesla, whatever.
Yeah, Steph, let me point out why Pam Bondi is actually the anti-attorney general, because she's an imbecile in three different ways in just those dozen or so words you just played. One, you don't announce that you're going to be making an arrest of a particular person, she said, a president of a Tesla dealership in the coming days, because that signals that that person probably ought to flee. Yeah. Two, you don't say the sentence that this person will receive is 20 years, because you don't comment on what a jury or a judge might do at the end of a trial. And three, you don't ever say there will be no negotiating, because, Steph, trust me, there will be negotiating on a plea and potential sentence. This woman is a stone cold imbecile.
Yeah, I mean, we're so beyond right now the normal that I don't even know what to say. Obviously the big news is the Supreme Court, but while we're on Pam Bondi, another legal analyst sounded the alarm on Trump's retribution tour, arguing the two new executive orders signal a frightening new stage. Obviously, Miles Taylor and Chris Krebs. He said the retribution tour has now moved on from multi-billion-dollar law firms and universities and media outlets. Now it's targeting private individual citizens. It strips security clearances not only from the targeted individuals, Krebs and Taylor, but also from the places they work. Krebs works for a private cybersecurity firm. Miles Taylor works at the University of Pennsylvania. So it really threatens their livelihood. But far more important thing Trump has done here is specifically ordered the Justice Department to open a criminal investigation based on scattershot accusations of things that are not in fact crimes. So to your point about Pam Bondi, said DOJ policy, prosecutors should not and cannot open an investigation for no reason, or certainly not for political or personal reasons. You have to have something called predication, which means basically a kernel of information on which to believe some crime might have been committed. This will be another test of the Attorney General's independence. Well, we haven't seen much of that yet from Pam Bondi, have we?
No, I mean, Donald Trump is running the executive branch of our government like a mob organization, and he's directing his consiglieres to go after my enemies. And this is not about applying the rule of law to Krebs or Taylor or anyone else. It is about fear. It is about intimidation. It is about retribution. And it's about driving those men into the poorhouse because they will have to potentially defend against bogus allegations. If there's any light at the end of the tunnel, it's that the courts will not sanction evidence-free prosecutions. But, this is an abuse of office and power writ large.
Yeah. I mean, he's basically using the word treason in the Oval Office to describe people that tell the truth about the 2020 election. I mean, extraordinary. So let's get to the good news. The U.S. Supreme Court ordered the Trump administration to facilitate the return of the prisoner who was wrongly mistaken, Garcia. The ruling requires the administration to comply with the earlier lower court order. There were no noted dissents. So, and now here we go. Will they comply?
Yeah, this is good news, and I don't want to rain on the justice parade, but, Chief Justice Roberts wrote that the trial court judge ordered that the Trump administration, quote, facilitate and effectuate the return of Abrego Garcia. And he said, I know what the word facilitate means, but I'm grappling with the word effectuate, a la Bill Barr. So he actually said, yes, you need to bring him back. But we want the court to tell us more about what the word effectuate means, because we don't want the court trampling on the Trump administration's authority to engage in foreign policy. I'm sorry, engage in foreign policy after you unconstitutionally sent a man to a torture prison in El Salvador that a federal court judge expressly ordered he may not be sent to El Salvador. We wouldn't want to, interfere in that foreign policy
that you admitted.
Come on now.
That you admitted was a mistake.
Right.
Yeah.
That you admitted he was mistakenly sent. I mean, you had blue skied. I find it remarkably indecent that the 5-justice majority couldn't bring itself to even mention, never mind condemn, the enormous human suffering caused by Trump's blatantly unconstitutional deportation of hundreds of people to a dangerous/deadly prison in El Salvador. John Pavlovitz from the great state of North Carolina. coming up in just a little bit. I am with Lynn. She said, I will personally give $100 to the first journalist to ask Trump if U.S. vibranium imports will be affected by his tariffs on Wakanda. You know he would bolt his way through. Yeah, we're looking at that very strongly. Yep. We're looking at that, Howard. Bigly. Howard Lutnick looking into it. Simon Rosenberg said, just getting to this New York Times article about what a jaw-dropping bolt factory failure and fraud Doge is. Musk is a historic disgrace, and what they've done is an incredible national scandal. I love this story, by the way. Chris, who said, I've been in the same room with Elon, and he always tries to be funny, and he's not funny, like, at all. He makes these jokes and little asides and smiles and looks almost hurt if you don't lap up his humor. I keep using the word annoying. A lot of people have to deal with him, too. Elon thinks he's smarter than everyone else in the room and acts like it, even when it's clear he doesn't know what he's talking about. Who said that?
Clarabelle Cow.
No, anonymous Trump official in the Rolling Stone piece.
Yeah.
This is what happens right? He's just like Trump. When you have people sucking up to your whole life and yes men, right? Laughing at your jokes. That's why you think you're a genius, and you're funny, and it's like he's obviously a weirdo. If you've seen him in any setting. By the way, we're speaking of factory.
I contend that's what happened to Madonna. She surrounded herself with yes men, and that's when her quality of output just went straight down.
Bella, this has been the story of the Stephanie Miller Show. I have always surrounded myself with no men.
And that's why you've the level of excellence that you've had for so long.
To the level of my basement that I've soared to because I do not have yes men. Do we have no? We have no Stephania. Yeah. Whole life, no men. Just saying. I don't. Bella's, kind of a little bit closer.
No, Stephania. No.
Bella is not a yes person. She's just very diplomatic and very. She's gonna be,
but
my point is, she's going to be president. She makes.
Are you a middle child or something?
She makes everybody feel like right. She's on their side.
Yeah.
So I don't know. She's not a yes person to me. She's just makes me feel.
Are you a middle child?
No.
I'm
the oldest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. Let oldest daughters run everything.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you. Yeah.
You're not the oldest daughter.
No, I'm the baby. I shouldn't run anything.
You're the Cindy Brady of your family.
I just want attention. I can't do anything. The contract shows $1.3 million payroll for Doge workers.
Yep.
Do you not get this scam yet? They are not cutting any waste, fraud,
Were they supposed to be
They are
volunteers?
sucking up money. Elon Musk is sucking up government contracts left and right, getting rid of the agencies investigating him for God knows how many violations. Musk has repeatedly claimed that Doge workers would not be paid.
Right.
This was just $1.3 million for work done by 4 Doge bags. Big, assuming, including big balls, one assumes.
With his broccoli hair.
Yes. Rue said Trump's getting a physical. So get ready to hear about how the doctors have never seen anyone in all of history do better on a physical test than he did. They were shocked into silence because it's the bestest it's ever been. The gold standard for humanity. Women fainted. Cannons fired. In the meantime, he looks like gas station sushi on day 10 with no AC. Exactly, and that's exactly what happened. Another of these, like, completely North Korean,
right.
He's in the back. You're like, we can see him.
Gas station sushi in Honolulu is actually really good.
I believe that.
Is it? You know why? Because they have spam sushi.
Well, yes,
it's not really
that.
sushi. It's not really fish.
But you can get, like, actual really good sushi at gas stations in Honolulu.
Stephanie Miller Show does not recommend gas station sushi. I don't care what Chris LeBoy says. Okay, 29 minutes after the hour. John Pavlov. You called into the radio show and read Trump tweets as the Joker.
Yes.
But
well, after doing the
at least the Joker had some redeeming qualities.
Well, the thing is, after doing it for so long, I recognize really good demented dialogue. And there was a tweet that he did, and someone commented, "This sounds like something the Joker would say while threatening to poison Gotham City's water supply." And I thought, you know what, I should do that. Because, he can't just say Merry Christmas. He has to say, Merry Christmas, even to the losers and communists and Democrat left-wing assholes. Why can't, just say Merry Christmas and stop? We'd be happy with that. But I have a message, I say the force is strong with the Democratic Party. And my message to MAGA is, go force yourself, all right? I like that because it sounds dirty and it's not, and I don't work blue. Hey.
Of course not. If you could devise a campaign that is meant to alienate more segments of the population, Chair Biden, I was saying, what is J.D. Vance's door-knocking operation? Is he just going to call every woman in America a whore? Hi, you're a C word and your mother's a whore. Thank you. I'm J.D. Vance. Mark, I know you're brave to speak out politically in Hollywood. I know you wish you could have Scott Baio's career, but
or Kevin Sorbo's.
But talk a little bit about why you've decided, because they always say actors don't want to be political.
Right. Well, the honest truth is that I've always voted. I've always followed politics very closely, but I never publicly expressed how I felt and how I was going to vote. Even in 2016 with Hillary. But this time, I felt like I have a responsibility. That it's far more important, because I've had people say, you could hurt your career. I don't care. This is more important. Who cares if I get a guest spot on The Mandalorian versus a mentally ill person back in the Oval Office? There's no contest. So, basically, I don't care. I never block people on Twitter because I don't want to give them the satisfaction of the screenshot that said Mark Hamill blocked you. So I've never blocked anyone. But I was muting people like crazy. And then I looked up at the clock and I said, Mark, you've been muting people for 20 minutes. Now I don't even mute people. I start to scan because obviously there's an equal and opposite reaction from the MAGA crowd. Ooh, do they hate me? Yeah, yay. Lucky for me, I don't care.
And you know why they hate you? Because you're going to help us blow up the Death Star in November.
Yes. Well, I always urge people, don't turn to the orange side.
Okay, if you're a homeowner, you need to listen up. When is the last time you checked your home title? That is the legal proof you own your home. If you're like me, the answer is never. I was also like, what? Am I supposed to do that? The problem is, in today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles and your equity is the target. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee with your county, and boom, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they take out loans using your equity and even sell your property. You won't even know it's happened until you get a collection or foreclosure notice. That's why you need to stop what you're doing right now. Find out today if you're already a victim. Use the promo code Stephanie14 at HometitleLock.com. Make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts, and they will expend up to $1 million to fix any fraud. Go to HometitleLock.com now. The code is Stephanie14. HometitleLock.com, promo code Stephanie14.
Because they know what you know and what I know. Is that they are the 1%, we are the 99%.
Yeah, I feel like that's starting to sink in with people. We're not getting stock tips. We're not getting, by the way, this one, I saw some people posted bills online. Some businesses are now showing the Trump tariff fee on their bills to customers. Yeah, all right, one more. This is AOC, sorry.
I hope that we all see now that the White House's tariff shuffle here didn't have anything to do with manufacturing like they claimed. It was about manipulating the markets. It was about hurting retirees and everyday people in the sell-off so Trump could quietly enrich his friends who he nudged to buy the dip before reversing it all in the morning.
Yeah, by the way, it was Tristan Snell who mentioned this idea. I was talking to Root about it. He said there's numerous calls to investigate whether Trump and his cronies engaged in insider trading, pump and dump, etc. But it won't be the DOJ, it won't be the SEC, it won't be Congress. You know who can investigate this? New York AG Letitia James, who has jurisdiction over Wall Street. So you know what? We'll take it wherever we can get it. You know, justice or because I think that's where you throw up your hands. You're like, who are you going to call? DOJ, SEC, FBI, all under. Right. That's just as plausible.
I mean,
have we thought of crossing the streams? Maybe it's time to break the rules.
Wasn't Ghostbusters based in Lower Manhattan?
Yes.
So I think that Letitia James would have jurisdiction over them.
There you go.
I think Trump and Slimer have a lot of similar qualities as well. So maybe, they can tame him.
Oh, yes.
Speaking of Elon Musk, I can't get enough of the Rolling Stone story. Elon Musk is annoying, unfunny, and should probably take a drug test, Trump officials reported. No kidding. Really? I love Mike Myers, Elon Musk, because it's just... He does him exactly as glitchy as he is in real life, right? And falling down the K-holes. A senior official describes the billionaire as an awkward and obnoxious hole, a preening, awkward spectacle of greed, stupidity, and self-importance. It's easy to feel somewhat nauseated by the billionaire. Rolling Stone says Trump officials have characterized him as incredibly unfunny, radically annoying, crazy, potentially need a regular mandatory drug test.
Well...
Marco Rubio, for one, has not hidden his disdain for Musk. Trump lieutenants have walked out of meetings and earnestly asked one another if they thought Musk was high. I'm going to say pretty much the answer is always yes.
Sure.
Yes, of course he is. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. Talking to the guy sometimes is like listening to really rusty nails on a chalkboard. He's just the most irritating person I've ever had to deal with, and that's saying something. Oh, God. Okay. More from AOC. Okay. Here we go.
And we must acknowledge the terrifying moment that we are in right now. And that what we are hearing and seeing with our own eyes is, in fact, happening. We are watching our neighbors, students, and friends being fired, targeted, and disappeared. It is real.
Yeah. By the by, hold please. Hold please.
Okay.
Another from Tristan Snell said the Trump administration is now saying they might unite with other countries against China regarding trade. This was literally the Trans-Pacific Partnership that Obama negotiated in 2016. In 2017, Trump withdrew the U.S. from TPP. The stupidity is off the charts. Same with Iran.
Yeah.
With them talking about an Iran deal. Obama had a perfectly good Iran deal that you had to tear it up because the black guy did it. Because... I think it's in there somewhere.
I think it's when the black guy did it.
Yeah.
When the black guy did it, woo, everything was wrong. When the black guy did it, woo, the dog whistles were strong. When the black guy did it.
I love this tweet. The White House refusing to name the countries that are, quote, begging to negotiate a tariff deal is very much giving my girlfriend goes to a different school vibes.
Yeah.
She's from Canada. You wouldn't know her.
She's from the Niagara Falls area. You wouldn't know her.
Yeah, you would know her. Okay. Chris in Illinois. Hello, Chris.
Good morning. Just wanted to make you aware, you might not have heard it yet, but apparently Brendan Carr, who is the commissioner for SEC, has been photographed wearing a golden Trump head pin where most of the government officials wear the United States flag.
Right.
And, the other people that do that are the North Koreans. So isn't that interesting?
Yes, we've had a very dear leadery weekend. Thank you for pointing out from his spectacular physical, where he's apparently lost weight. His body fat is, like a,
And they mentioned all of his golf wins.
Oh, yes.
In his medical report.
Yes. To our caller's point, Trump is now commanding his cabinet loyalists to wear the Trump golden bust pin instead of American flag pins. There it is. It's his big bloated head. Okay. Oh my God. Oh my God. Plus that's all the reporters there are left, right? Is people from right-wing outlets pretty much just going, will you give us a Dear Leader's diet plan? He looks so fantastic. Okay. Is he working out with Bobby Kennedy? Oh, by the way, someone said the video of him with snubbing Cheryl Hines, if anything needed the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme, this is the video.
Yeah.
He shakes Bobby Kennedy's hand, and then Cheryl Hines like sticks her hand out, and he just like ignores her, and then she just goes, and then pulls her hand back in, and just like a little.
Because he sees Joe Rogan.
Right.
Yeah.
He appears to fully ignore her hand, leaving her conspicuously hanging. Yeah, I have to give her points for the expression on her face. She was like, yeah, all right. Oh, well. Okay.
I can't imagine Cheryl Hines at a UFC fight. I honestly can't.
I can't. Don't even get me. Okay. Representative Maxwell Frost, one of the youngins, the tiny baby youngins in Congress.
They're the ones hoarding wealth beyond imagination.
Thank you.
We have to tell people the reason you can't pay your rent has nothing to do with trans people. The reason you don't have health care has nothing to do with immigrants. And it has to do with billionaires like Elon Musk. That is true solidarity. And my friends, I'm here today to say solidarity without action is just sympathy.
Yep. And Representative Jimmy Gomez, also one of the youngins from out here in California.
And here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you're young, old, or Gen X, Gen Z. I don't give a shit. But we're now a new generation. We are the around and find out generation.
Ooh, the youngins are spicy. I like it.
Around. That's the energy we need.
Yes.
That was at the downtown Los Angeles rally this weekend.
I'm trying to picture Chuck Schumer leading that. But see what I'm saying? But look at Bernie. It's not about age, right?
No.
Yeah.
It is not about age. It's how you message.
Yep.
And that's why the Bernie thing is so important. I'll get to that later.
Okay. Who said, eventually, the facts of his incompetence will overwhelm even the vast propaganda network that defends him. I just hope the economy doesn't have to collapse for that to happen. Who said that?
Sonny the Cuckoo Bird.
No, I believe it was in New Republic. I don't know who said it, but it's true.
Oh, okay. So you don't even
I'm
know.
just dispensing with the actual answers. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because my part of Guess the Quote is the important part, not yours.
I see. The part that people remember is my part, though.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Mark Hamill said he loves my guesses.
I don't care. But you know what, Luke? This is not the droid you're looking for. Dell says, who could have predicted this? Say the people who spent the last year dismissing or mocking those of us who predicted this. Thank you. I will never stop saying I told you so. Maria in Washington, D.C. Hello, Maria.
Hello. Yes, hi. I am on an SSDI, and there have been enormous staff shortages, staff cuts at SSA that are threatening to completely collapse the Social Security Administration and therefore end payments to all beneficiaries like me.
Yeah.
And that should scare the hell out of all of us.
Yeah.
Please call your representatives. Tell them to stop this. Make them aware. Tell them that this is going on, that there is a heist going on right now, right in front of us. No one is paying attention to it.
Well, they're trying to dismantle Social Security without saying they're doing it. They're trying to cut it, staffing, so you got to wait hours, and then you get hung up on, and then you can't, you got to, I mean, I think it was Noel Castler said, if someone made my mother stand in the sun in Arizona for several hours to go in person to Social Security and then told her to come back the next day, I would spend the rest of my life making sure that party, it never has power again. I mean, okay. Personality of cult, the same people who spent the past 4 years screaming about how you can't trust anything the government says are suddenly accepting everything the government says without even a moment of hesitation. I wonder what changed. Thank you. Remember the government bad? Now it's like, oh.
The government.
Right. Yeah. The government says dear leader weighs, what does he weigh now?
220,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. 4% body fat. Yeah. Okay. Kevin in D.C. Hi, Kevin.
Good morning, everybody.
Hello.
As you all know, if you have family members or close friends, no matter how close you are, you don't agree on every single thing. And I'm going to have to disagree with I respect Chris and anyone who says don't call people stupid, but here's my problem. Taking out the middle and call Chris, I kind of agree what he said the other day on your show. He said there's them, us, and in the middle. I'd be willing to talk to the people who don't, as you say, don't pay attention, whatnot. But there's two things that I know cut through the nonsense. One, in the debates when this idiot said the thing about immigrants eating cats and dogs.
Yes.
And two, there were headlines all around that he's a 34-count felon. I don't care if you only watch the news for a second and you're too busy. You heard two of those. So if you voted for a man who had, count them, not 1, not 10, not 14, but 34 counts, then yes, you are stupid. And there are groups that he screwed over brutally in the first thing, like who do follow it, like farmers and white women who saw him on camera telling that he's going to cut away, abortion rights. And many other groups, they're still voting for anyway. So, yes, they are going to be called stupid by me from now and forever.
Yeah.
The middle group, okay, I may be leniency, but those are stupid, and I'll call it to their face. I'm sorry.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. All right. By the way, I'll admit to being stupid because you might notice my ring light wasn't, of all the things that weren't working, my ring light wasn't working. But it's because I plugged in my bike thing and I forgot to plug it back in. Stupid.
You need to adjust the level of the light again because it's very bright.
Oh, is it too much?
Very bright.
Really?
Yes, very bright.
And that's not a good thing for a woman of my age? Okay.
Advanced age?
I'll work with that.
Yeah,
okay.
we'll do that during the break. I was going to tell you during the break.
All right. Chris, who said it was the worst type of magical thinking to imagine Trump would have any serious constraints in his second term if his voters believed he wouldn't be stupid and malevolent enough to obliterate the economy for no good reason? They simply didn't pay attention to his first term or 2024 campaign. Who said that?
Snagglepuss.
No, I was going to say Kevin in D.C., but no. Our friend Aaron Rupar again, who was equally handsome, romantic, and smart. Robert Reich said the Trump regime is working to deter dissent. Anyone who goes against Trump could end up on a target list. This is having a chilling effect on 5 major pillars of society: universities, science, the media, law, and the arts. It's straight out of the fascist playbook. That's why we remain Trump Central here at the Stephanie Miller Show. We will never, ever, ever surrender. By the way, in other petty news, I forgot. They swapped Obama's portrait with Trump's assassination photo, and now loyalists in governmental positions are voluntarily wearing golden busts of his profile. We are watching Trump's cult of personality turn America in an authoritarian dictatorship in real time.
Yeah, they swear allegiance to Trump and not to the Constitution.
Yeah,
that's dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we have Pastor John Pavlovitz, who has one of the best book titles ever, If God is Love, Don't Be a Jerk.
Yep.
Okay. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, 48 minutes.
Welcome back to day 84 of the first 100 days of the brand new Donald Trump reign of terror, error, and flying by the seat of his pants. Well, of course, it's Sunday, and where are you going to find Donald Trump on a Sunday? But on the golf course. He spent quite a lot of time there, hasn't he? Donald Trump is going to make sure that he enjoys whatever time he has in the White House, particularly if he can enjoy it out on the golf course. And flying by the seat of his pants and going by his gut, if that isn't good enough for you, let's remind you we just have 16 days left before the first 100 days of Donald Trump's new reign of error comes to an end. And in case you don't know, we still have a father stranded in El Salvador that doesn't need to be there. Donald Trump is still threatening members of the press, authors, and of course, people who used to work for him who don't agree with him. And Donald Trump is slicing on the back nine. Well, get ready, folks, because we're turning in to day 85 tomorrow. It just keeps getting better. No, not really.
Disruption is one thing. Madness is something entirely different. He is a reality show businessman. This amateur hour for our federal government. That is what is most petrifying. So to the Democratic Party, I ask, what about you? The least the opposition party can do is join the fight.
Okay, if you're a homeowner, you need to listen up. When is the last time you checked your home title? That is the legal proof you own your home. If you're like me, the answer is never. I was also like, what? Am I supposed to do that? The problem is, in today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles and your equity is the target. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee with your county, and boom, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they take out loans using your equity and even sell your property. You won't even know it's happened until you get a collection or foreclosure notice. That's why you need to stop what you're doing right now. Find out today if you're already a victim. Use the promo code Stephanie14 at HometitleLock.com. Make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts, and they will expend up to $1 million to fix any fraud. Go to HometitleLock.com now. The code is Stephanie14. HometitleLock.com, promo code Stephanie14.
And I've rewired my brain to function. It's almost like I've become bipolar. I'm part Andy Ostroy, part Donald Trump. I've rewired my
don't
brain.
say that. I'll never talk to you again.
No, but in order for me to maintain my sanity, I have to understand him.
Oh, God.
Because if you understand him, you're halfway through the battle.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at the tariffs and the trade wars. Is it really about a sound fiscal foreign policy?
Mm-hmm.
No. It's about him getting up in the morning and go, watch this, I can move the markets. Okay, tariffs. Next day, markets correct. Watch this, I can get them back up again.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
I think it's more malevolent than that. I think there's more going on there than that. I think
there's
a little money making going on there.
Yeah, there might be some market manipulation.
Yeah.
Somebody might be shorting and buying and whatever. But
yeah,
it's all a power trip. So whatever he does, it's to feed the ego, to make him look like the boss, and everybody around him has to play the emperor's new clothes game. It's like, and that's how I keep my sanity.
This guy, it's like, yeah, he illegally deported a couple hundred people to a torture prison in El Salvador. What are you going to do? No charges were ever brought against Joe Biden for the simple reason that Joe Biden did nothing wrong. And yet he still had to deal with that drumbeat of bull pounding in his ears day after day for the entirety of his term. Who said that?
Jinx the cat.
No, that would be Michael Ian Black.
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay.
Michael. Oh, for the Isn't It Ironic file,
Uh-huh.
Larry said, does anyone else find it ironic that for years they screamed that immigrants didn't pay taxes and now they're using IRS records to find them? Yeah, that's kind of weird, isn't it?
Isn't it ironic?
They pay in and don't get out, and yet they're the problem. All right, Bella, it's for you.
Yay.
Allison says conservative men can win control of an entire government, fire most of the people who aren't white men, take away women's rights to control their own bodies and vote, and then with a straight face ask us to care about how lonely they are. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, the plight of the white man. Oh, did you see there was I saw a piece on CNN. This hot blonde lady dated just right-wing men for a year, just as like part of an experiment. And she just was talking about how just insecure they are and they don't really know who they are.
Yes.
And this whole manosphere that we talk about that, and they're trying to say that cast even the tariffs as like manly. And you're like, really? Blowing up the world? By the way, he's a giant that backs down every time, right?
Yeah.
How many times how is that manly? Whatever. It's just bullying. That's what it is.
And incels, you're not involuntarily celibate. Like, you're doing it to yourselves.
Right.
Like,
Right.
why would a woman
touch grass
come
every
with
once in a while?
Go touch grass. Go
Yeah.
outside, please,
Right.
for the love of God. Why would a woman touch you if you
Don't
are?
touch grass.
Yeah, but you think it's common knowledge, but
Who's preaching with you is Jenny the Giggling Whore in Baltimore.
Oh.
Hello. Hi, Jenny.
Oh, hello there.
Oh, hi.
Hi. I'm calling for many, many reasons, but mostly because I just love you guys so much.
I love you.
And also, Bella, you are hilarious. Oh my
thanks.
God. You remind me of Sean.
It's the best advice to incels we've heard in quite some time. Just go touch grass. Jesus. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm actually calling. I'm horrified by what's happening with this administration of just absolute evil. I mean, they're going after people with green cards. They're going after people. They're trying to figure out how to deport American citizens.
Yeah.
To gulags. It's horrific, and I'm terrified.
Yeah.
On the other hand, oh my God, do I hate RFK Jr. with the heat of 1,000 white hot suns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Because what people are missing here is not just what Sue said, which is correct. Autism is not a disease. But what he's saying, what he's actually trying to say through his agenda of let's kill all the children, is it is better to risk death by a preventable disease than it is for your child to somehow catch autism, which you cannot do through a vaccine.
Yep.
It's not a cold. You don't catch it. But, I mean, seriously, he just negates all people with autism's lives. It's incredible.
I know. By the way, Covey says consumer sentiment is at its second lowest level in 75 years. Is America great again yet?
Well, let's talk about it because everybody else knows about it now, and apparently it's not that big a deal. If this has happened under Joe Biden, Cliff, if under Joe Biden's DNI and head of CIA and Pentagon that let's just say somehow, I don't know, someone from Daily Kos got to sit in on a plan to bomb Yemen, what would the Republican response be, sir?
I can imagine that it would be, it would cover the entire front and top section of the New York Times, like it did when Hillary had a couple of emails that amounted to absolutely nothing and were from a private server and did not compromise our national security in any way. And yet it's one of the major reasons why you and I are sitting here even having this conversation. So my God, had she been having that conversation over Signal with a bunch of folks and there'd been a reporter from The Nation, or there'd been a John Fugelsang or Cliff Schechter on the phone. Sorry, I hate saying my name in the third person. If I had been on the phone, on the Signal chat with them, I think they would call for all of us to be shot out of a cannon and thrown in a brig and God knows what else. But again, as your caller was saying earlier, it's corporate media. It's their failure. They turned Hillary Clinton's nothing into the biggest offense in the history of the world. It was up there with like the Dreyfus affair or something. And now you see this, and it's so ludicrous that, and you know a bunch of things, right? So if you've used Signal before, you know, first of all, that they have contacted Jeffrey Goldberg that way before, because he would have to accept them inviting him in, right? And I'm not attacking him. I'm just making the point that clearly they reach out to reporters all the time to plant fake stories and try to lie and propagandize. And they do this with reporters, quite obviously, and so that there's no public record of it. Second of all, they plan wars, coups, deportations of people that are gay barbers or have Real Madrid, tattoos, whatever else. Clearly, they do that on Signal too, because all the principals are on there. CIA, NSA, like all these guys are on there, like it's a regular thing, right? They're not talking like, "Hey, great to see be talking to you here." It's a regular conversation. It's something they clearly do all the time, and they're doing it to break the law and get around public records conversations. This should be the kind of scandal where Pete Hegseth, Ratcliffe, and that other idiot whose name I don't even know because he's a nothing, all are forced to resign or face impeachment, and Donald Trump and JD Vance get impeached too. But again, this is modern America and our corporate media and monopoly control. So there you go.
The other guy is named Christoph Waltz. Christoph Waltz.
Oh, that's right. How could I forget? He's so important and obviously has such a long and impressive resume.
I mean, 2 Oscars with Tarantino. So, Cliff, Fugelsang doesn't mind you talking yourself in the third person, but I'm curious, what does this look like beyond this little tempest right here? Because I think we already know how this is going to play out. This is going to be Iran-Contra. Nothing's going to happen. This is going to be the Iraq War. No heads will roll. No one will be punished for this. And thank God, no one seems to have lost their lives over this. People lost their lives in Yemen over the fucking bombings, of course, but America doesn't even know we're at war in Yemen, and they didn't know it under Biden either.
No.
But on a bigger picture, doesn't this just say that this is what we should get used to? There's going to be no shame, no guardrails, and no amount of fucking up is going to get you fired as long as you remember to kiss the ring and be obedient.
Right. So to quote somebody I know who's a friend of mine named John Fugelsang, there is no shame, there are no guardrails, and nothing will fucking get you fired. So going into it, knowing that right away means we need to be so much fucking better. Okay. And it means that independent media, like what you're doing, like what I do, like what so many of the people we know do, needs to be supported. It's no longer a sort of a request. It's if you want a democracy, you'll do it. We need to have the kind of messaging from Democrats. No more of this bullshit. No more. It's my turn. No more. I've been here for 50 years. Chuck Schumer, Dick Durbin, whatever, step aside, let Jasmine Crockett and AOC and Chris Murphy and Eric Swalwell and the people that need to be at the front of the line, the ones who understand the age we're in, what we're up against, how to use modern technology and all of this, let them step up, and they need to create a messaging machine. It's never going to rival what the right has, certainly not some short period of time. But Jesus Christ, we need to do something. There needs to be a constant, everyday reminder with a focus, a narrative of the 2 or 3 things that are most evil and most screwed up about these guys. And then anytime something happens, if one of those things happens to be they sell out to foreign dictators, well, this would, and they are terrible at national security. This would have played into that, right? This would have been part of that narrative. Another narrative, how corrupt they are, what he's doing with the damn Easter Bunny sponsorships, everything. They do things, they have patterns. They do things over and over again. Right. And there's 3 or 4 things they particularly are evil and terrible about. And that should be the narrative of who they are, because that narrative also explains why they're firing people, why farms in places like Nebraska are falling apart, filled with Trump folks who voted for them, and why some of the Trump people are turning against them. We must do better. There's no reason we can't have numerous officials ready to go at a moment's notice, ready to hold press conferences, events. This thing that AOC and Bernie are doing is great. There need to be 50 more of those things. There needs to be something outside of the Supreme Court whenever they make a decision. There needs to be something outside of Congress every damn day, and the White House. All right. We need a shadow cabinet. Like, let's start doing the things that we've heard some people talk about, because this is what we need to do right now.
I love it.
Fascism.
I want to open this up to our listeners. We're at 866-997-4748 because here's my problem, Cliff. I agree with everything you say, and I'm standing on my desk cheering. And I know that Chuck Schumer is never going to step aside. Chuck Schumer understands these things, young man. You don't understand what it's like. Only Chuck Schumer. And again, I'm talking about fundraising. I mean, I think as long as he continues to bring home the bacon and he has installed himself as being the guy who's going to keep the job for a long time, who's going to challenge him in the Senate exactly? I mean, he's got Chris Murphy and Cory Booker as sort of his lieutenants, and that's very smart on his part. I don't see them challenging him, and I don't see anything happening before the midterms. I mean, are the Democrats going to be able to move forward if Chuck Schumer refuses to step aside?
Well, the thing is that, there's formality and there's who cares. And yeah, he may formally be the leader, but my answer to that would be don't listen to him. My answer to Democrats who want to go out, what are they going to do? Are they going to kick them out? I mean, you're right. He pulled in two of the best in Booker and Chris Murphy, but Tammy Duckworth is fantastic. Like, there are other ones. Go out there, a group of you, get together.
Anywhere in the world, terrible things happen. And investors, people who've got money that they can afford to invest in different places, you know what they do? They go to U.S. Treasuries. It's called flight to safety. In other words, when there's economic danger in the world, a war has broken out, there have been massive earthquakes that will disrupt the economy, COVID, what happens? Investors go to the United States government treasuries because, damn, it just doesn't get any safer than that. Except with Donald Trump as president.
Yeah. It's true.
I love her so much. That was my first heartbreak. President Elizabeth Warren. Okay. Can I say to her point, this is all over. Bearded Bombshell said no American president has ever managed to crash both the stock market and the bond market at the same time. Economists used to think that was basically impossible. When investors flee stocks, they usually run to bonds, as Senator Warren just said, and vice versa. That's the whole point of a diversified portfolio. But when Trump started saber rattling again, this time with both Japan and China, in response, their governments and others began quietly selling off U.S. treasuries. That helped tank the bond market. At the same time, the stock market was already in free fall. That's why Trump suddenly got cold feet. He wasn't just risking a crash. He was flirting with a dollar crisis. Undermining global confidence in the U.S. debt puts Americans' reserve currency status on thin ice. Lose that, and the economic fallout could last decades. Leave it to dare Trumpler to break new ground. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to give him points for that.
Yep.
It's new levels of stupidity we haven't seen before. You know, one man might be able to help if you could take your organ out, since we've been talking about the Manosphere, Bella. Thank you very much. Here he comes. Pastor John Pavlovitz of the great state of North Carolina.
Yeah.
Star of the Pulpit and Sexy Liberal Durham.
That's right.
Good morning, John.
Yes. Good morning. Good to be with you, my friend.
Yeah. Can I just tell you, I was talking earlier about, that Trump just... You remember the whole thing about, Biden's abandoning North Carolina, he's not sending FEMA aid, all the lies they told. And you saw that Trump just denied hurricane relief to North Carolina. And I sent it to my friends that live there that came to our show to see you, John, and they said, yeah, but all the rural voters watches Fox News. So does that resonate? Does it resonate he denied hurricane relief?
Well, it does, but Stephanie, it's really strange when you're walking around here in North Carolina, especially like around my neighborhood where there were Trump signs all over prior to the election. And now my neighbors are strangely silent, and there are not a lot of conversations happening in the driveway, and people kind of avert their eyes because I think what people are now seeing is, boy, the wacky liberals were right, and this woke agenda was actually trying to save me as well as them. And so that's where we are right now. I think a lot of people are reckoning with their horrible choices and trying to figure out, what story do I tell myself about what's happening right now?
Well, you said it on Blue Sky. You said, hey, Trump voters, you screwed up. I think it's you said you just think if you don't admit you screwed up, we won't know that you screwed up. We know.
And I think there's been a self-preservation happening for a while now with Trump voters. They thought that we were the enemy, but as we've been trying to tell them, I've been trying to say for years, I'm actually for you as much as I'm for my own family. And we know that the person you support is actually antithetical to the health of you and the people you love. And they just haven't never gotten that because the tribal cultic fervor is so fierce in them. And I hope some of that's beginning to lift with the reality that's hitting them. I wish it was empathy that was going to drive them to push back against Trump, but it's really going to be personal pain, sadly.
Yes, exactly. You said Trumpers suddenly don't give a damn about the cost of eggs, the stock market crashing, or losing their health insurance. That's how indoctrinated into a cult of stupidity they are now. I mean, I think some of them, that's just true. They're going to literally ride or die with him, right?
Yeah, I can remember having a conversation with someone about a year before the last election, and I was trying to sort of reach him on an objective level of just facts and data. And he said to me, John, don't even bother. He said, I'm riding with this guy. He literally said, I've placed my identity in him, and that's just it. He didn't care. So facts, data, objective truth no longer applied. It was how he felt supporting a guy who pissed off so many people that he didn't like.
Yeah. Well, I could tell when you said even the words facts and data, I just thought immediately you must be trans.
That's right.
I mean, it's just, but, again, you, like our friend John Fugel saying, speak eloquent, Jesus, eloquent Bible.
Yep.
You wrote a great piece, Forget Anti-Christian Bias. The Trump administration has anti-Jesus bias. And to your point, if Jesus were here right now speaking the words attributed to him in the Gospels, performing the acts of kindness described there, Trump and his followers would never give him a moment's peace. They'd hate him, they'd cancel him, they'd crucify him. There you go, right?
Yeah, it's been, I was a pastor for almost 3 decades. And during that time, people around me and people in the churches I was a part of, they would recognize someone like Trump as completely confrontational to everything that Jesus lived, taught, stood for. And slowly they began to make concessions toward him. Suddenly their faith was a little bit more pliable. And that's really how my journey began, doing this work really publicly on sort of a national level, because as a pastor, I was realizing, okay, there was this thing I was taught my entire life and that you valued me for speaking about, and suddenly that's no longer the truth for you. And so that's what's really been sad. I grieve the Christianity that I came out of because it's unrecognizable in MAGA evangelicalism.
Yeah. You said the same Christians who shunned me for reminding them that Jesus wasn't white, American, or Christian have become hateful white nationalists in the name of that Jesus. It's been tragic but illuminating. And here we are where, the Jewish governor of Pennsylvania has his house practically burned down, by somebody that admitted hating him and was going to, that sounds familiar, attack him with a hammer. I mean, I know we're not supposed to jump to conclusions, John, but sure sounds like MAGA-induced terrorism again.
Yeah, sadly, what we're seeing right now is this being emboldened, a group of people who for years have harbored this hatred, but it's become so easy for them to express it. I think that's probably the greatest damage Trump has done, is he's allowed people to embrace the worst parts of themselves, and things that people might have hid before because of decorum or civility are no longer on the table. And so you're seeing people just say and do things that they never would have before. And some people who we thought were decent human beings, and maybe they were to some degree, but once you have that precedent broken about the things you can say and do, it's scary what the human heart can be capable of.
Yeah. I mean, by the way, you talked about the State Department under Marco Rubio in your piece instructed all of its employees to report coworkers for, quote, anti-Christian bias. You said it is irony of biblical proportions. There is no anti-Christian bias in American government. It's anti-Jesus bias in MAGA Christianity. But I mean, also, it's just creepy Handmaid's Tale stuff, right? Report your fellow. I mean, I'm telling you, I said this to a friend yesterday, John. I'm like, we're in the part of America where they would tell you where Anne Frank's hiding some of these people on their side.
No question.
Yeah.
And the thing, Stephanie, is we started, I think even myself toward the last couple of years, I would think sometimes, am I being too reactionary, or am I making too much of this? Am I becoming conspiratorial? And I was talking about Project 2025 a lot last year. And then now seeing what's happening, so many of us are saying, I really didn't want to be right. This is our worst nightmare. This is not a victory lap. We're not gloating right now. We're just saying, hey, this is what we were telling you was coming. And will you now at least get on board with us and help us push back against what you helped create?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the other story, again, happening in your state is them trying to throw out all the votes of the, this judge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've become just a party of election deniers when they lose. And I guess I was trying to keep up with it through my sister who lives there in Salisbury. She said that she was one of the 60-something thousand votes they tried to throw out in the race that this judge already won, right? So I guess they're allowing those votes, but there's two other categories of people they're still trying to exclude. They just are not for democracy anymore, are they?
They're not. And I think what we've seen is, I have a 15-year-old and a 19-year-old, and they're students of history, and they're talking about things like this in class right now. And we grew up in a time when the parties were always had fundamental differences, but there was always an idea that there was a desire to craft compromise and to work for the common good. And that's gone. Anyone who was in the Republican Party who had any reason or decency has been slowly either weeded out, pushed out, or they've left voluntarily. So now we're left with a group of people. The common denominator is so low, and the only thing they have is to keep digging deeper. And so that's where we are.
And speaking of conspiracy, so you heard Elon Musk said, he retweeted someone that said, was Wisconsin stolen, where, the voters roundly rejected him and trying to buy the election. But meanwhile, I know you and our friends, Dino Badala and Brooklyn Dad we just had out, and my big sister who lives there. All of you, some of the smartest people I know, not conspiracy theorists, have questioned whether 2024 was on the up and up, particularly in the swing states, just because of all the things Trump and Musk have said since then, right?
Yeah, this was not based on just a feeling that we have. This is based on comments, prior to the election and in the wake of the election. And you look at someone like Musk, who has so infiltrated our government so quickly, has access to, funding that we could never fathom and technical expertise that we could never understand. And so it's reasonable to ask that question. And for me, I just lament the fact that I don't think the Dems actually said, hey, let's investigate a swing state just to see, make sure that the tabulation reflects what's actually in the voting machines. And that's not unreasonable. And, in the wake of 2020, Trump had recounts and he had 60 plus court cases. And even after those proved nothing, they're still saying that election was stolen. So I think that's where I wish we had just a little bit of fortitude to say, let's just make sure we're not throwing away our democracy for nothing.
Because they have us so cowed, I mean, and this is, I was just saying, this one is the latest today. America's most prestigious law firms have now agreed to provide almost $1 billion worth of legal work to Trump, a total that will likely grow. Trump announced deals with 5 more firms Friday. Three firms, God bless them, have opted to sue, have opted to push back. And John, to your point, you've said this, you said it on Blue Sky again. You said, we're not afraid of you because even with the greatest seat of power, you are a spectacularly small man. We're not afraid of you because you're not worthy of our fear, because that would mean respecting you, and we do not. Thank you. That's all of us. I keep saying he would be powerless if we all stood together and not, now he's threatening to, I don't know. He said CBS is illegal because of 2 stories on, that he didn't like on 60 Minutes last night, right?
Yeah, and I think right now we're facing a real question of how courageous are we willing to be? And I think the people around us, whether it's our families, friends, coworkers, people we don't even know, are getting a chance to choose, who am I going to be in this place and time in history? Am I going to be one of the people who just acquiesced, or am I going to, show some strength and realize that that's going to, cost us something? There's going to be turbulence now. We can't avoid it. I had said to people, 7 months ago, it's a lot easier to fight fascism before it arrives at the polls than in the streets once it's here. And that's where we are. And my biggest fear is that too many Americans are not built for the kind of fight that we're going to need to be in. Yeah,
John, you are so right. People will remember where you were at this moment in history. This is why I'm so pissed at the Bill Mahers of the world, the latest to go yuck it up with Trump and bend the knee. You said, yes, in a perfect world, the cautious, reasonable middle would be a great spot, but this isn't a perfect world. Sometimes diplomacy enables the predators. Sometimes silence is participation. Sometimes the fence is the seat of the coward. And that's it, man. You got to pick a side, man, and play hard, right?
Yeah, and you know, hey, it's you see a governor's mansion being targeted, and normal people are saying, I'm fearful of my life. I talk to thousands of them every month, and while that's true, I think there is a price tag to retaining democracy if you really value it, and that's where we're standing. There's just no one is coming to save us. So do we the people really have the collective power to do something? We do, and it's about how do we somehow make a shared response that's focused and strategic, and that's going to take a lot of work right now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and that's why we have you for the hour.
Yeah!
Yay! Praise the Lord.
Hooray.
20 minutes after the hour, this portion of the show.
Now more than ever, people need to work with companies that share their values. Credo Mobile has donated nearly $100 million to help progressive organizations fight for reproductive rights, social justice, the environment, and equality. Credo Mobile offers a world-class mobile network and gives people a real choice when it comes to working with companies they know are making a positive difference in the world. Visit credomobile.com today and make the call to action.
Oh, hey there, it's Stephanie Miller. If you're like me and you love sharp political insight, pointy, you like it pointy and sharp, bold opinions, and a touch of humor to make sense of these crazy times, have I got some fantastic news for you. The Political Voices Network is now on Substack. This is your new go-to for the best in independent media. We're talking about my show streaming daily with episodes on demand, the fearless of journalism of Brian Karem, the brilliant side-splitting satire of John Fugelsang, the unrelenting working class advocacy of Rick Smith, and so much more. Here's the best part. Subscribing is so easy. You can join for free or go to the extra mile. Support these incredible independent voices by signing up for a full subscription starting at just $8. You'll get access to exclusive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and a chance to directly fuel fearless, unfiltered media. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to politicalvoicesnetwork.com. Hit that subscribe button and become part of the movement keeping truth alive in an era of corporate media overload. Every subscription helps, especially yours. One more time, that is politicalvoicesnetwork.com. Sign up now. Do it.
I'm curious, Jesus, you said that we have to love our neighbor. Did you mean it like love your neighbor even if he voted for fascism, or is there a clause we missed? Do we still have to love them if they voted for racists and fascists, Jesus?
You know what? This is a bit of a tough one for me, I have to admit, because I do. It is in my DNA to love thy neighbor. That's sort of my whole thing.
Yeah,
I guess I would say you need to try to believe. You got to try to look for the best in people. And I think a good reminder is that we get down in all this fighting on social media time and time again. It's exhausting and you think everybody's evil. But when you actually go and meet your neighbor, maybe physically next door, you realize, oh, yeah, they did vote for Trump and they do want to roll back my rights, but they are still a nice person.
It's very confusing because they're just brainwashed. Yeah.
But this is why I like your son so much. He won't let me hate these people. He won't let me hate them, even when they're begging for it.
Disruption is one thing. Madness is something entirely different. He is a reality show businessman. This amateur hour for our federal government. That is what is most petrifying. So to the Democratic Party, I ask, what about you? The least the opposition party can do is join the fight.
And I've rewired my brain to function. It's almost like I've become bipolar. I'm part Andy Ostroy, part Donald Trump. I've rewired my brain.
Don't say that. I'll never talk to you again.
No, but in order for me to maintain my sanity, I have to understand him.
Oh, God.
Because if you understand him, you're halfway through the battle.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at the tariffs and the trade wars. Is it really about a sound fiscal foreign policy?
Mm-hmm.
No. It's about him getting up in the morning and go, watch this, I can move the markets. Okay, tariffs. Next day, markets correct. Watch this, I can get them back up again.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's
I think it's
almost
more
like a
malevolent than that. I think there's more going on there than that. I think
There might be
there's a little money making going on there.
Yeah, there might be some market manipulation.
Yeah.
Somebody might be shorting and buying and whatever, but
Yeah.
it's all a power trip. So whatever he does, it's to feed the ego, to make him look like the boss, and everybody around him has to play the emperor's new clothes game. It's like, and that's how I keep my sanity.
It is the Stephanie Miller Show. Chris, who said, so they can talk about anti-Christian bias all they want, but their actions and words and their relentless rejection of his teachings and the kind of people he spent his life embracing remind us that they are Jesus' fiercest adversaries. MAGAs reject love, they ridicule empathy, they despise diversity, they perpetuate cruelty. Who said that?
Yankee Doodle.
Oh my God, no. Pastor John Pavlovitz,
okay.
who wrote a great piece we linked to.
Yes. Yes.
John,
I was about to say, that guy speaks to me.
That resonates with me somehow.
Yes.
You said, I just got back from Europe. They all know America's a mess and he is nuts. Yeah. I mean, I was struck by that. And Chris Titus, who said, in 11 weeks, he has made the world hate and mistrust us. In 11 weeks, he's lost trillions of dollars in people's retirement and their pensions. In 11 weeks, he has actually isolated us from the rest of the world. In 11 weeks, he has made it so we will literally go into a recession in the next 3 months if we're not already in one. Good game, idiots. It really is. Even for those of us that, as Chris said, marinate in this, John, it is stunning. I mean, people are not going to be coming here, and I think Americans are afraid to go other places because they hate us because of one guy.
Yeah, it's a tragedy, and I was really encouraged though, Stephanie, because conversations I had with Uber drivers and servers and tour guides, they were saying, we understand that this is not the majority of people who have chosen him, and we also understand that he does not represent the vast majority of Americans. And so to some degree, we despise him, but we don't hate Americans. We hate what America represents in the world now and the power that it has because of this one person. But they really understand that, most people gave us expressions like, when we told them where we're from, they said, I'm sorry. And we said, yeah, well, we are too. And that's what a terrible thing. I can remember traveling in Europe 20 years ago. People heard you're from America. I was a college student and they were so excited. Oh, let me talk to an American. What's America like? And now they just say, poor thing.
Well, I read a story earlier, John, on the air that, China is finding ways to specifically target red states, because they seem to understand our politics better than some of us do, but you and I, that's what makes us liberal. Is that, like you said, like during the whole campaign, you were trying to fight for everybody. Mm-hmm. You don't want to wish ill on other people in red states.
Yeah, I was online last night having an argument with one of the Project 2025, creators, and basically said the Christianity that you're proposing is just it would be an abomination to Jesus, as we said. And I wanted him to understand everything you're about is compulsion. And there's nothing about compulsion in the teachings of Jesus that I grew up with. And also, that marriage of church and state is antithetical to the Constitution. So whether you're claiming you love God or you love country or you love the Bible or you love the Constitution, you're losing on all counts right now if you're supporting Trump. So I think we've just got to help people understand that and say, are you going to be a part of what we're going to do to push back? And if you're not, then you're complicit. It's really that simple.
Just want to express...
called into the radio show and read Trump tweets as the Joker.
Yes. Yes.
But
well, after doing
at
the
least the Joker had some redeeming qualities.
Well, the thing is, after doing it for so long, I recognize really good demented dialogue. And there was a tweet that he did, and someone commented, "This sounds like something the Joker would say while threatening to poison Gotham City's water supply." And I thought, you know what, I should do that. Because, he can't just say Merry Christmas. He has to say, Merry Christmas, even to the losers and communists and Democrat left-wing assholes. Why can't, just say Merry Christmas and stop? We'd be happy with that. But I have a message, I say, the force is strong with the Democratic Party. And my message to MAGA is, go force yourself, all right? I like that because it sounds dirty and it's not, and I don't work blue. Hey.
Of course not. If you could devise a campaign that is meant to alienate more segments of the population, Chairman, I was saying, what is J.D. Vance's door-knocking operation? Is he just going to call every woman in America a whore? Hi, you're a C word and your mother's a whore. Thank you. I'm J.D. Vance. Mark, I know you're brave to speak out politically in Hollywood. I know you wish you could have Scott Baio's career, but
or Kevin Sorbo's.
But talk a little bit about why you've decided, because they always say actors don't want to be political.
Right. Well, the honest truth is that I've always voted. I've always followed politics very closely, but I've never publicly expressed how I felt and how I was going to vote. Even in 2016 with Hillary. But this time, I felt like I have a responsibility. That it's far more important, because I've had people say, you could hurt your career. I don't care. This is more important. Who cares if I get a guest spot on The Mandalorian versus a mentally ill person back in the Oval Office? There's no contest. So, basically, I don't care. I never block people on Twitter because I don't want to give them the satisfaction of the screenshot that said Mark Hamill blocked you. So I've never blocked anyone. But I was muting people like crazy. And then I looked up at the clock and I said, Mark, you've been muting people for 20 minutes. Now I don't even mute people. I start to scan because obviously there's an equal and opposite reaction from the MAGA crowd. Ooh, do they hate me. Yeah, yay. Lucky for me, I don't care.
And you know why they hate you? Because you're going to help us blow up the Death Star in November.
Yes. Well, I always urge people, don't turn to the orange side.
Oh, hey there, it's Stephanie Miller. If you're like me and you love sharp political insight, pointy, you like it pointy and sharp, bold opinions, and a touch of humor to make sense of these crazy times, have I got some fantastic news for you. The Political Voices Network is now on Substack. This is your new go-to for the best in independent media. We're talking about my show streaming daily with episodes on demand, the fearless of journalism of Brian Karem, the brilliant side-splitting satire of John Fugelsang, the unrelenting working class advocacy of Rick Smith, and so much more. Here's the best part. Subscribing is so easy. You can join for free or go to the extra mile. Support these incredible independent voices by signing up for a full subscription starting at just $8. You'll get access to exclusive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and a chance to directly fuel fearless, unfiltered media. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to politicalvoicesnetwork.com, hit that subscribe button, and become part of the movement keeping truth alive in an era of corporate media overload. Every subscription helps, especially yours. One more time, that is politicalvoicesnetwork.com. Sign up now. Do it. the reporting that I guess Trump just doesn't give up about anything, because a lot of stuff he's doing is obviously politically toxic. It makes no sense at all.
No, and I think that's the gift of Trump. That's one of the few things that he does to help us, is that his policies are so random and so capricious and so guided by some sort of blind hatred of the world that it helps us, because it alarms people who would not be alarmed this early in his tenure. I think so many of his voters are realizing, oh, this is hurting me now. And that's actually an asset to those of us who are pushing back, thankfully, because if he were a more responsible diplomatic, public servant, we would not realize what's happening right now.
Well, and survey shows consumer confidence at a 45-year low. I mean, everywhere you look, right? Polling, town halls. The decline was, like last month's, pervasive and unanimous across age, income, education, geographic region, and political affiliation. It was lower. The April reading was lower than anything seen during the Great Recession. So you're right, John. It is amazing how quickly people are waking up, though. You're just like, where were you 2 months ago when we said all of this? I mean, this latest flip-flop. Smartphones and computers will be exempt from Trump's tariffs. The updated guidance comes after companies such as Apple were greatly threatened by Trump's 125% tariff, including on iPhones. I mean, this is why there's such instability, because of the chaos, John, because he's clearly just governing on a whim. You don't know what the whim is ever going to be.
Yeah, I think if you add his cognitive decline to his already sociopathic personality, that's really the problem here, too, is now he really doesn't even understand what he's doing. It's just these sort of lashing out, and this, and he pulls back, and then he does it again, and everyone here has whiplash, even his supporters. And there's no one to hide it anymore. You can't blame it on Congress anymore. You can't blame it on the woke liberal media. Yeah. It's all naked.
And they all contradict each other. Yeah, they were. Peter Navarro was asked on Meet the Press about, Elon Musk says you're a moron and dumb as a bag of rocks or whatever. And he's like, no, we're all good. Everything's good. I mean, this one, Trump tariff flip-flopping causes glitch that prevents customs from collecting even the tariffs that he left in place. If you found it difficult to keep up with the status of the tariffs being imposed by Trump, you're not alone. The federal government itself is having so much trouble calculating who's supposed to be charged how much. U.S. Customs and Border Protection can't even collect tariffs at all right now. I mean, this is the level of incompetence we're at, John. It's been a roller coaster ride for markets, investors, both U.S. and foreign businesses, as the list of countries and aquatic flightless birds subject to tariffs has changed on a seemingly daily basis, along with the rates and exemptions and other details. Those rapid changes have made it rough for customs to keep up, causing a glitch in the system that is used to exempt freight from tariffs, including shipments from China that were already on the water at the time of this week's whipsaw in tariffs policy, and any trade from nations now under the 90-day pause put in place by his own government can't figure it out, John. They're saying Trump's comments have added to the confusion and policy chaos because social media posts are not law. Because he'll post something that's a contradiction. Right. But
Yeah, thankfully, their competence doesn't match their hatred, because if it did, we'd be in real trouble. And you look at that cabinet, it's just a kleptocratic, dream there. And so fortunately, we're able to benefit from the fact that there are people who are not qualified to be where they are, and that's at least slowing down the progress of this kind of fascist regime.
Yeah, and here's Howard Butlik, the Commerce Secretary.
Lutnick.
Right.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, get that right.
The semiconductor tariffs that are coming and the pharmaceuticals are coming. Those two areas are coming in the next month or two. So this is not like a permanent sort of exemption. He's just clarifying that these are not available to be negotiated away by countries. These are things that are national security that we need to be made in America.
They're not going to make iPhones in America. Oh, my God. And secondly, it would take years to build these factories. And now because of the tariffs, they can't afford building materials. I mean, go ahead, John. Sorry.
Well, that's why they're putting children into labor in Florida. They want to have child labor because they can't even get Americans to, pick fruit. So it's a circus.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Not according to Barbie, as we like to call her. Press room Barbie.
Caroline Levitt?
Yes.
Hey, girl. Hey.
I think there's a great optimism in this economy, great optimism for the American people, a lot of reason for people to feel optimistic. The president is, as I just said, trying to renegotiate the global trade agenda that has ripped off the American people for far too long. As he said, this is going to be a period of transition. He wants consumers to trust in him, and they should trust in him. Look at what he did in his first term.
Yes, we did look at what he did in his first term, John.
Hey, girl, you alone make me so scared. How about that?
Meanwhile, back in the real world, China to increase tariffs on all U.S. goods from 84% to 125% effective tomorrow. This was a couple days ago. This cuts off virtually all U.S. exports to China, includes tens of billions of dollars in soybeans, corn, beef, and pork. I do not want my taxpayers bailing out the farmers who voted for this, who's with me. I mean, here we are, John, where our Christian empathy is going to be tested by people who voted for him again. And right?
Yeah, and it's for the third time. And I think in 2016 I was writing a lot about trying to understand these people and their motivations and the story that they've told themselves or what they've had taught to them by their parents, politicians, their pastors. And now it's at the point where sooner or later adults have to take responsibility for their choices. And we've got tens of millions of adults, supposedly adults, who are choosing a reprehensible human being with no redeeming qualities to lead them. And at some point you have to ask, what is wrong in you that would cause you to embrace that?
Right,
right. You are incorrect, according to Press Room Barbie, who tells us that everything's fine.
Every cabinet secretary is a rock star. They are passionate about the issues they are leading on, and they are delivering on exactly what President Trump called upon them to do. There is so much good news flowing out of this administration every day. It's definitely hard for the media to keep up with.
Oh, is that
They don't know how to cover this administration. They are grasping at straws, and it's easy to talk to the press every day because President Trump is doing exactly what he promised the American people he would do, and there are wins after wins after wins every single week.
Much winning. So much winning, John. That's what it is. The media can't keep up. They don't know how to report because there's too much. It's too much good. Too much.
I would write a lot. I would write a lot more pro-Trump stuff, but I cannot decide which good stuff to put out there. So I'm paralyzed with benefits and beauty.
Meanwhile, back in the real world, Covey says Iran wouldn't be anywhere close to having a nuclear weapon if Trump didn't get rid of the Iran nuclear deal, which President Obama negotiated. Thank you. One more. Elon, I don't know if you read the New York Times piece. So Elon Musk has unsurprisingly lowered his Dodge cost-cutting estimate for the year from $2 trillion to $150 billion, or roughly 0.075 of his original goal. Worse yet, we've already spent $154 billion more in the 3 months Trump's been in office than we did over the same time period each of the last 2 years. Are we great yet? I mean, and again, do people just because he says it buy that Elon Musk is finding all this waste, fraud, and abuse, and despite the fact there's not been one prosecution of anything?
Yeah, I think we're at that point where there are. I would say probably I estimate 80% of people who still support Trump are doing so because they can't simply admit that they were wrong, and their identity is so tied up in this, and it is an act of self-preservation, because if I admit that I have gotten this wrong, well, the ripples of that and the responsibility of what I've caused are going to be so great that they can't face it. So we're talking to people who are not being intellectually honest right now, and that's impossible to deal with.
I mean, and we're told, again, this was, price of things was the whole election. Consumer sentiment has now dropped 34% from when President Biden was in office. It is the second lowest economic rating since 1952. I mean, one last one, Chris. So, yes, the market meltdown was scary, but what we're left with is even scarier, a world dangling at the whim of a capricious, economically illiterate megalomaniac. Who said that?
Pixie and Dixie.
No, Charlie Sykes, former Republican. Sue in Rockville, you're on with Pastor John. Hello, Sue.
Hello, and good morning, Pastor John. I love your wisdom. And as a Jew, I support everything you say, because Jesus was a nice Jewish boy, born of Jewish parents and died a Jewish man. So I celebrate him along with you. But that's not why I call. Two quick quick things. I would like to point out it has been over 24 hours. There has been not one word condemning the arsonist and attempted murder by anyone in the White House, Trump, or the Republican Party.
Yep.
And if that doesn't tell us everything we need to know,
because
about
it's not
who
it's not a trans person or an undocumented immigrant, Sue. That's why.
Exactly.
They know it's more MAGA terrorism.
That's right.
Now, in the world of reality, I would like to inform people, as someone who is 73 and has a 76-year-old husband, we shrink when we get older. What I used to be was like 5'5.5", and the doctors agreed to put me down at 5'4", just because she feels sorry for me. And so we shrink. So if he once was 6'3", guaranteed he doesn't top more than 6 feet now. That's just a function of age. Number two, if he's only 224 pounds, Stephanie, you and I wear the same size.
Yeah, we are just full on North Korea, right? Yeah. I mean, those are the questions we were talking about in the press room, John. Just, can you tell us does he working out with Bobby Kennedy? Why? He looks so great. I'm like, this is the part where literally we're the emperor's not wearing any clothes and he's apparently got an Adonis body.
I hope the emperor keeps his clothes on at this point.
Yeah,
but I think, that's the hard part is, we throw around the word gaslighting a lot, but you really begin to feel like you're going out of your mind because you're saying, is it me? Am I not seeing this? You look at someone like Caroline Leavitt and you think, how did she become who she is now?
Yeah.
She was probably a normal human being at one point, raised with morals and values and a moral compass. And how do you get to be that place where you lie for a living on behalf of a serial predator? It's just, I can't fathom it.
What I said, John, about this party is the ironic thing is my favorite host on the Liberal channel is Nicole Wallace, who used to have Caroline Leavitt's job. Right? I mean, but it's just a lot of these former Republicans are at least joining us on the sane side of what we're seeing here. I mean, Olivia Troy, who's, also worked for George W. Bush, she said not one reporter asked about the executive orders targeting Chris Krebs and Miles Taylor during the cabinet press conference. Not one. A sitting president abusing and using the power of the DOJ to punish former officials who spoke out against them. That's the stuff of banana Republicans. I waited and waited, but the question never came. Why? Has the fear they want to instill already taken hold? Well, obviously in some quarters it has.
Yeah, and I think whether it's on a professional level, a public figure, or it's a personal level, there are people I talk to around here in North Carolina, and they're afraid of their neighbors or they're worried about their family members who are so beholden to Trump and the ugliness of that. And so there's so many people who, rightly so, are worried, are terrified. And yet it's about deciding if that's enough to keep you from speaking into a place and time in history when you are carrying humanity. I mean, we are responsible for what happens moving forward. And I always tell people, anything you feel like you're losing right now, you're losing because someone fights so you could have it to begin with.
That's right.
So we can't be caught falling asleep right now.
Yep, that's absolutely right. Hold on. Oh, by the way, I just wanted another Olivia Troy one. It's affecting every area of our lives.
She's going to be on the show tomorrow, by the way.
Oh, yes. Fantastic. Oh, look how we did that without any rehearsal.
Nice.
She said, think twice before you take that cruise. I worked the COVID cruise evacuations. They scarred me for life. And now the Trump administration has gutted the CDC unit that inspects cruise ships for norovirus, E. coli, and other outbreaks. This is how preventable disasters happen again. I mean, the fact that we memory hold the disastrous response to COVID and had 4 times the worst COVID death rate of anyone in the world, that by itself, right?
Yeah, so now I can't even leave the country for a while and eat emotionally because that's even going to be hazardous to my health. I mean, where do we go?
Emotional eaters of the world, unite.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
49.
I don't recommend it, but I do practice it.
49 minutes after the hour. Oh my God, we missed you so much, you big muffin head. Hi.
I missed you too. I was out on a boat with 2,600 LGBTQ plus women and some Steph heads, and I am back.
Hello.
I was making people laugh, and there's a couple good jokes. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Right.
A couple good jokes about this administration.
Well, it kind of is a joke in itself. And I read your tweet off the top because I'm glad so many people are seeing this, Dana. You said stop, just stop it. Trump didn't blink. He's manipulating the markets and his friends are making a killing. This was all over. This was Jack, blah, blah, blah. Hang on one second. No, today might have been the largest insider trading event in American history, just putting that out there. I mean, Dana, my point is it can be more than one thing. It absolutely was that. But he also did blink because he's a complete coward and moron. I mean, it's because of the bond markets and, Goldman Sachs using the R word, recession. It's like,
I think it's a multitude of things, and I agree with you. But to give him, we know that his buddies are making. Well, I said this right after the election. I said this is about to be the biggest smash and grab we've ever seen in this country, and it's happening in live time. We're seeing it, but it is affecting all of us. It's not like they're just stealing surplus money. They are taking our money that we have invested, 401ks, retirement plans. And the fact that Republicans are not louder of this because their constituents are losing their retirement, mind-boggling to me. I mean, get a spine, say something.
I mean, David Pakman, our friend here, was all over this. Stocks dropped 14.5% from their highs since Trump's tariff announcement. They've now recovered as of this moment, 9.4%, are still down 6.4% from their high. Trump is calling this a victory despite nothing being fixed about trade and despite countries giving Trump nothing. What exactly is the victory? You're right. His rich friends. If you had insider information, the rest of us didn't. Your retirement money isn't just magically back because the market rebounded some, right?
I mean, if this happens every single time, if they're making billions and you lose 6% every single time this happens, you're not getting that money back. We're not getting that money back. Right. His buddies are making a killing. And if we lose 6% on everything we have for the rest of his administration, that's going to add up fast. I hope people start getting loud about this.
Yeah. And we were saying we're glad Senator Schiff is doing something. Senator Adam Schiff has announced that due to the chaos surrounding tariff policy, he will investigate whether anyone engaged in insider trading. Trump may be immune from prosecution, but those around him are not. It's time to decimate this MAGA circle. Because I think that's the problem, is we look at Trump's DOJ, SEC, FBI, you're like, who's going to do anything about anything?
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean we can do nothing about
Absolutely.
just obvious crimes in broad daylight, right?
Yeah, put them in front of the public. That was the whole point of even having these public impeachment, inquiries when he was running, when he was before of going, why does it matter? Why does it matter? It matters to the general public. There's going to be another election, and it is important that the general public understands exactly how badly they're getting screwed by this administration. And it doesn't matter how you voted, and it doesn't matter what state you live in. It's affecting you now.
Yeah. Well, this one, I mean, Adam Schiff said, we just witnessed the full Trump cycle. 1, make a horrible policy decision. 2, create a lot of pain. 3, falsely claim the problem is solved. 4, reverse course. 5, leave things worse than before. Rinse and repeat. I mean, and as we keep saying, what happens in 90 days? We do this again?
Yeah. He is the arsonist and the firefighter. Yeah. And why people don't know that by now is just mind-boggling.
Yeah, I think it was a Chris Hayes's tweet about, it's like you panicked, you started the house on fire, you panicked because of pressure, put it out. Well, now you have a partially burned house. So thanks a lot,
So
victory.
He's Donald Sutherland in Backdraft.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Yeah. You said it. You said, I don't care who you voted for. If you can't admit these last couple months have been an absolute show, you're part of a cult. I mean, that's it. It's the people just vociferously yesterday where he knows he's a genius. These tariffs are, they're off. He's also a genius because now they're, I mean, it's just so whiplash.
He doesn't know what he's doing. His own guy who is this based on his tariffs is a moron. I mean, Navarro made up a source in his books that Jared Kushner saw a title of and was like, we got to use this guy for our tariffs. Peter Navarro made up a source and it was an anagram of his own name, some guy named Ron Vera. Right. And he used that as the source to all the knowledge that he had on tariffs. And then he's the one advising the president. I mean, it is such a clown show.
are worth fighting for. If God is love, don't be a jerk.
Yep.
And stuff that needs to be said.
Yes.
I love that. I love your book titles.
And go and make sure you subscribe to his Substack at johnpavlovitz.com.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
we've linked to
Thank
that.
you.
Yes.
I mean, John, well, let's again with the U.S. won't say whether it's facilitating return of mistakenly deported man despite a judge's order. So they say, oh, he's under the authority of the El Salvador government, which we all know is a bunch of BS. But here we are. I mean, Nate said the fact that we needed a Supreme Court decision to bring an unlawfully and accidentally arrested U.S. resident back from a third world torture dungeon should terrify the absolute out of absolutely everybody. I mean, if we can't agree on that, right?
And it's the idea that felt like a win when really that should be the bare minimum of what our humanity, calls for. And that's, I think, where we are. We're at a place where morality, our values are just tenuous at best. When you look at a group of people who embrace cruelty in a way that is just for people who claim to be pro-life, they really have contempt for quite a bit of actual life.
And John, you and I have talked, over and over about how we lost this election on just a wall of lies, on disinformation. Yeah. And it continues. That's why I appreciate you and all the people on social media fighting the good fight just to keep getting facts out there. Someone just tweeted, don't believe Donald Trump and MAGA's lies. Gas prices at the pump are up 13 cents in the past month, according to AAA nationwide average. Trump claims he lowered lowered egg prices by 79%. The truth, egg prices are up by over 50% since January. I mean, it's not like we thought the lying would stop, but I think that the people's reality is going to overwhelm the propaganda at some point. Do you think?
Yeah, no question. I think we're going to start seeing, we have got a car repair shop here that always has Fox News on in the waiting room, and it's not on anymore. And I think that's because they're starting to realize they can't spin this anymore, and they're not going to be able to hide from what's actually happening. And you wish
turn
it
on the
didn't
people
take
that lied to you. Turn on the people that gave you that disinformation.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
That's right. That's right.
And go to johnpavlovitz.com and stay there.
Yes.
Okay.
Subscribe to everything he does.
Love you, John. See you next time.
Thank you, John.
You too. All right.